Okay, we will now reconvene the regular board meeting. Dr. Perez, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I can ask everyone to please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I want to recognize that our district and school campuses are located in the village of Paspenga. I want to acknowledge that this land we refer to as Orange County is the unceded and traditional lands of the Gabrieleño Tongva Nation and the Huañeño Band of Mission Indians, a Hashima Nation. These lands were taken through a process of colonization, physical, and cultural genocide. I want to pay my respect to elders, both past and present, as well as the Tongva and Hashiman youth who have attended and are currently attending our schools in neighboring districts. Okay, Ms. Quiroz, do we have any action items to report out from closed session?
We do. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to appoint Nolan Barreco to the position of assistant principal at Cesar Chavez High School, moved by Ms. Brazier Aceves, seconded by Ms. Magdaleno. Board members with a yes vote, Mr. Bustos, Ms. Brazier Aceves, Ms. Magdaleno, Dr. Alvarez, and Ms. Lepsak. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to appoint Dominique Gobrin to the position of assistant principal at Sierra Preparatory Academy, moved by Mr. Bustos, seconded by Ms. Lepsak. Board members with a yes vote, Mr. Bustos, Ms. Brazier Aceves, Ms. Magdaleno, Dr. Alvarez, and Ms. Lepsak. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to appoint Laura Gomez to the position of assistant principal at Jefferson Elementary School, moved by Ms. Magdaleno, seconded by Ms. Brazier Aceves. Board members with a yes vote, Mr. Bustos, Ms. Brazier Aceves, Ms. Magdaleno, Dr. Alvarez, and Ms. Lepsak. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to appoint Adam Knudsen to the position of Coordinator of Student Achievement, moved by Ms. Brazier Aceves, seconded by Ms. Lepsak. Board members with a yes vote, Mr. Bustos, Ms. Brazier Aceves, Ms. Magdaleno, Dr. Alvarez, and Ms. Lepsak. For interpretation services into Spanish, please see Mr. Vargas, who is sitting right behind me. Para servicios de interpretación al español, por favor pase con el señor Vargas, quien se encuentra sentado detrás de mí. Should you require ASL interpretation, please take a seat in front of the room to your left. Child care services are being provided in room 126. Se ofrecen servicios de cuidado de niños en el salón 126. Gracias. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. At this point, we'll go ahead and turn it over to our superintendent and Ms. Flores for recognitions and acknowledgements.
Thank you, President Bustos. I see Ms. Flores making her way over.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be able to recognize our Employees of the Month. I would first like to start by inviting up Veronica DeBrule-Githens and Principal Jimmy Brule. Okay. We have this for you. And there's a little card there. I will read all the beautiful things that your staff wrote about you. Let me put your glasses on. We are truly honored today to celebrate and formally recognize a professional whose commitment to our school is nothing short of extraordinary. Mrs. DeBrule, her dedication doesn't just meet expectations, it redefines them. Mrs. DeBrule is an invaluable asset, a high-caliber professional who is consistently ensures that our school is not just a place of learning, but a supportive and profoundly enriching community. Mrs. DeBrule has established herself as a cornerstone of our strategic framework, serving in multiple leadership and collaborative roles that drive our school forward. She has dedicated her time and expertise as a vital member of the Community School Leadership Council, the School Site Council, and various other critical school and district committees. Her involvement is deeply proactive, directly shaping our culture and ensuring that our academic programs are robust, responsive, and innovative. But the hallmark of Ms. DeBrule's service is her unwavering efforts she pours into her students' success. She consistently goes above and beyond the call of duty. This is the professional who manages the complex duties of the gate coordinator, who facilitates crucial school events and field trips, and who, after the final bell rings, stays late to provide dedicated one-on-one support for students with specific learning needs. She doesn't wait for issues to surface. She proactively reaches out to parents of absent students, ensuring no child falls through the cracks. Furthermore, she connects our curriculum to the real world by working directly with community partners to develop inspiring outdoor learning lessons. Mrs. DeBrule is highly valued by students and parents because of her uniquely detailed and caring approach to individualized support and intervention. Her efforts are instrumental in shaping the positive school climate and culture we cherish. Her active participation and thoughtful professional contributions don't just affect a classroom or a grade level, they make a profound impact on the entire community. It is for this exceptional commitment, her tireless leadership, and her unwavering dedication to our students that we proudly recognize as Ms. DeBrule today. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you to everyone. Thank you, board. Thank you to my school community. I am very lucky. I have been in the district for 34 years and been at Carver for 32. I don't think a lot of people can say that they've been at a school for so long and are able to really get to know their community, and I cherish that and I treasure that. I would not be here without the support and the love from my parents. They're not here anymore, and I miss them every day. But my mom and my dad really instilled the idea of you can be whoever you want to be if you put in the work. And it doesn't matter where you come from, you can achieve. My mother didn't get to graduate high school because she was a migrant worker, and she really wanted to be a librarian. And so she instilled the love of reading in myself and my sister and in her grandchildren, her 4 grandchildren. And I'm very proud to say that I'm the mother of 3 teachers, and 2 of them actually came to Santa Ana. They were students at Thorpe, and I'm very proud of all their accomplishments, and I hope they are able to have the career that I had. I have worked with numerous people throughout the years, great people, people that are now here in leadership in the district, and lots of colleagues that have really helped me and contributed to my success. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, and thank you to this district. And I have 3.5 more years, but and I will be working those 3.5 years. But when I leave, I will be very proud of what I've been able to accomplish in the district. So thank you guys again.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to invite up Principal Gina Zybert, Principal of Edison Elementary, and Anaya Erdseek.
Well, I am so honored to share with you a little bit about Anaya, who shares so much to our family community. Anaya is such an essential part of the Edison community as she builds such a positive school culture. She makes students feel welcome and inspired to develop a love for reading. Beyond her daily responsibilities in our library, she creates such an inviting library that serves as a heart of our community. She's so dedicated, creative, and she genuinely cares for students, which makes her such an invaluable support to all of us. She goes such beyond and above in every day, and she nourishes curiosity and learning. Her efforts are far beyond what's required in her position. She creates opportunities that inspire both learning and joy. Anaya organizes reading challenges that motivate students to set goals and to celebrate progress. She sparks excitement through books, challenging students to read different genres tied to their curriculum, and she logs in all of their efforts. She also facilitates a program that she has spearheaded called Lit with Love. It's a family reading challenge as well. And every evening, families read together at home, and then they log those hours, which she logs them as well. And then after 3 months, she creates a special evening event for all of the families. She also, in our innovation lab, she is a big essential part of doing creative art projects, which she spearheads. She does our Edison's Art Gallery every year in the end of the year. And she is one of the scene directors for our program Frozen this year. Yep, she does it all. And with all of those extra things that she does at our school, it motivates our students to be creative, to follow their passion, because she motivates them. She elevates our school community and truly embodies the spirit of service and excellence. I couldn't be more proud. Yes.
Very short. Thank you, Gina, for the kind words, and thank you to Rosa and Johan for being here to support me. I'm very early on in my career, but Edison has just been such a wonderful place to land. It's an amazing school culture, amazing work culture, and I feel truly supported to be creative and to start new things and bring Gina my ideas and say, how can we do this? How do you think this would help our students learn to love reading more, feel more comfortable with reading, go on to develop greater literacy skills? So I'm super grateful for those opportunities, and you're helping me begin to see myself with a career in books and words and continue working with children, and I'm really grateful. So thank you.
All right, great, and congratulations to our certificated and classified employees of the month once more. And before we turn it over to our superintendent's report, just so we can get the issue fixed, I do see our voting monitors kind of flickering, might not be fully functional, so we might want to get those fixed before we get to our consent and regular agenda. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. Perez?
Thank you, President Bustos. I have a couple of announcements today. There we go, thank you. The very first is a recognition of one of our schools of Circulos. It's being recognized by OCDE as one of 12 Orange County impact schools for innovation and student-centered learning. So I really just want to give a very, very warm congratulations to Circulos. I know oftentimes in talking with their principal, Ms. Scruton, she says, man, we need more people to know about our school and what we're doing. So when this came across my desk, and thank you, Vice President Brazier Aceves, for nudging, because you said, hey, I saw this come across our email, and so picked up on that and just really wanted to take the opportunity to let the community know about the great things that are happening within our district, and that's being recognized by our County Office of Ed. And so in particular, they were being recognized and called out for their early college and XQ Super School. And it is the only charter in SAUSD with that focus, a focus on small learning communities, project-based learning, dual enrollment and AP courses. And if you are a parent or of a student who's thinking about the charter experience, we have our very own charter, and Circulos does an amazing job being called out by our County Office of Ed and recognized. Please reach out to the principal, schedule an appointment. I know that she does tours of the school, so if that's of something of interest to you, please reach out, and we're happy to do those tours. I do want to tout some really great data from the school. 100% graduation rate at that school, 86% A through G readiness, 68% Golden State Seal, and multiple AA earners. So this is a big deal. We've got some schools doing some phenomenal things. So again, 100% graduation rate, 86% A through G readiness. This is really topping what's going on in the state and definitely in the county as well. So please take a look at Circulos here in Santa Ana Unified. The next announcement really is around our Dancing with Santa Ana Stars. We have our very own Evelyn Benitez, who will be dancing. Yeah, people are clapping, go for it. She will be dancing on our behalf with the monies being raised. We'll go to support our Santa Ana Public Schools Foundation and the scholarships that they give back to our students here in Santa Ana Unified. So we're super excited about that. So November 8th, it is a Saturday at Valley High School in our beautiful state-of-the-art auditorium. Honestly, it's better than anything in the county. Please come check it out. It's going to be a great event. And there will be 9 community leaders dancing for a cause. So very exciting, and we just wanted to put that on our community's radar to be part of the fundraising efforts, be part of just supporting our very own Evelyn in this competition on November 8th. Our next recognition and announcement is around our community garage. I love that they put my picture front and center. I did learn how to change oil that day. I did ask them not to share with my husband, so I'm not asked to change the oil of the cars at our house, but it was great. This is a Saturday community garage that was happening prior to COVID in our district, and with the help of our principal Berger at Valley High School, as well as our partnership with High School Inc. and so many others, we're able to get this back up and running. It's something we've been working on for a while. We had a great turnout. Some of us were able to be there and tour. We are going to do an actual kind of ribbon cutting to mark this really great resource and service to the community. But just wanted to highlight this because there was so much time and energy put into being able to make this happen. We were able to host some folks from Sacramento, and actually we had somebody who was coming to us from, I think, Oklahoma, Kentucky? Sorry, I can't remember. It might have been Kentucky. I'm gonna take you, your young brain, a younger brain than mine to remember that. So they came out to take a look at what we were doing, and really were impressed by the fact that we had this open to the community and that our students were actually the folks doing the service to the vehicles. And, you know, they're excited about coming back out and continuing to support us with this great effort. And so I just wanted the community to be aware. We are going to announce the next one that we slate for November. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. But just wanted to thank all of our staff, all of our teachers, all of our support folks who work to make these type of experiences available to our students. This is real hands-on learning, and you know that our students are going to walk away with, and life skills, things that they're learning how to do, and really at a high level. So we're just very grateful that we are able to offer these type of opportunities to our students. And a big shout out to our CTE director who's sitting in the audience, Stephen Long. I know you're doing a lot of work to get us up and running with so many different pathways. We're just highlighting this one today, so more to come. And then finally, I'm going to end with our college and career fair. And again, this event happened already, but I really wanted to just acknowledge what a great environment it was. We had colleges and universities represented there. You can see some of the pictures. So many families out. We were at a new location this year over at the Heritage Museum, which I thought was a lot of fun. It gave the opportunity for the community to be out at a different location and I was asking people, have you ever been here before? And so many folks who really are, you know, have been in the community for a long time had not been to the Heritage Museum. So I thought that was a lot of fun. That we were all able to really experience our community and all of the great things that our community has to offer. Again, we had more than 2,500 students and families attend, which is phenomenal. 143 exhibitors. We had 70 universities, 37 community agencies, 14 SAUSD programs, 13 CTE pathways, 5 trade schools, 4 military branches. It was a very, very busy, fun environment for the entire family. I saw folks with strollers. So many of us were out there just engaging with our community, talking with our parents, talking with community partners. So again, just want to highlight all the amazing and great things that are happening in our district. We need to be doing more of that, sharing our story and all of the great things that are here so that our parents know and feel confident in what we're doing in our district. So with that, close my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Perez. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our public presentation portion of the meeting. Before I begin, please note the following. The board president, myself, will enforce Board Policy 1313, which imposes rules of decorum and civility in the conduct of this meeting in this facility. Should any member of the audience act in a manner inconsistent with the requirements imposed by that policy, or who interrupts a speaker at the podium, makes comments that are deemed derogatory of the speaker and their message, or which are threatening in nature, they will be warned to stop such conduct. If the behavior continues, the individual will be asked to leave the meeting or may be removed pursuant to Board Bylaw 9323. Any speaker who is subjected to such treatment may contact the Office of the Superintendent at 714-558-5512. Ms. Quiroz, you may begin. Speakers will have 3 minutes to address the board.
May we please have Saul Lara, followed by Eugenio Morales, and followed by Rosalind Henderson.
Buenas tardes, respetables miembros del board, señora superintendente doctora Pérez, miembros de la administración, comunidad en general. Mi nombre es Saúl Lara, padre de 2 estudiantes en el Distrito Unificado de Santa Ana, uno de ellos con necesidades especiales y miembro activo de grupos de abogacía en favor de los derechos de los alumnos sean típicos o neurodivergentes. Estoy aquí hoy, 28 de octubre nuevamente, porque creo firmemente que la participación de los padres es una herramienta más poderosa para mejorar la seguridad, la inclusión y la calidad educativa en nuestras escuelas. Pero esa participación solo tiene valor cuando es escuchada, respetada y tomada en cuenta. Lamentablemente, en los espacios donde deberíamos poder aportar nuestras ideas y propuestas, se nos obstaculiza nuestra participación. Permítame dar unos ejemplos concretos. En la pasada reunión del presupuesto, silencio. En las reuniones del CAC no se permite hablar abiertamente de las preocupaciones sobre nuestros estudiantes. Otra vez silencio. En las reuniones del DAC y DILAC, las respuestas fueron inconclusas o inexistentes. Silencio nuevamente. Ese silencio repetido en distintos espacios no es solo una falta de comunicación, es un mensaje que desanima, que apaga la voz de quienes venimos con intención de construir. He observado, y muchos padres también, que se limita o se restringe el tiempo de los comentarios públicos, impidiendo el diálogo auténtico. Algunos miembros elegidos en estos comités no abogan activamente por los estudiantes, sino que parecen más interesados en mantener relaciones o beneficios personales. Las inquietudes y propuestas de los padres, especialmente de quienes tenemos hijos con discapacidades, no se reflejan en acciones concretas ni en decisiones administrativas. Esto no es una queja, es una observación crítica y responsable, porque si un comité no defiende ni canaliza la voz de las familias, entonces no pueden existir. En las próximas votaciones de representantes del CAC, invito a que, con todo respeto a nuestra comunidad, a elegir personas que realmente aboguen por los estudiantes, no por amistades, cargos o conveniencia personal. Necesitamos representantes con integridad, empatía y compromiso con el bien común, personas que escuchen, que pregunten, que se atrevan a incomodar cuando se trate de defender a un estudiante o a una familia. Como padres y defensores queremos dejar algo muy claro, con respeto, pero también con determinación. Estaremos atentos a cómo se escucha la voz de las familias, atentos a cómo se eligen nuestros representantes, atentos a cómo se cumplen las promesas de proteger a todos los estudiantes sin excepción. No buscamos conflicto, buscamos coherencia, queremos que los espacios de participación sean verdaderamente puentes de comunicación, no barreras simbólicas. Gracias.
Good evening, respectable members of the board, Madam Superintendent Dr. Perez, members of the administration and community in general. My name is Saul Lara, parent of 2 students at SAUSD, one of whom has special needs, and an active member of advocacy groups in favor of the rights for all students, be them typical or neurodivergent. I am here today, October 28th, once again, because I firmly believe that parent participation is one of the most powerful tools to improve the security or safety and inclusion and educational quality in our schools. But this participation is only valuable when it is heard, respected, and considered or taken into account. Unfortunately, in the spaces where we should be able to bring our ideas and proposals, our participation is blocked. Allow me to give some concrete examples. Number one, in the past budget meeting, silence. At the CAC meetings, we are not allowed to speak openly regarding the concerns about our students. Again, silence. And at the DAC-DLAC meeting, the answers or the responses were inconclusive or non-existent. Once again, silence. This silence is repeated in several spaces. It's not just a lack of communication. It is a message that discourages, that silences the voice of those who come here with the intention of building. I have observed, and many parents have as well, that the time is limited or restricted for public comments, which impedes an authentic dialogue. Some members are elected to these committees, do not advocate actively for students, but they seem to be more interested in personal relations or personal benefits. The concerns and proposals by the parents, especially those of us who have children with disabilities, do not reflect concrete actions in the administrative decisions. This is not a complaint, it's just a critical and responsible observation. Because if a committee does not defend or focus the voice of the families, then it ceases to have a reason for existing. In the next elections of representatives, of the CAC representatives, I respectfully invite our community to elect people who really advocate for students, not for friendships or positions or personal convenience. We need representatives with integrity, empathy, and the commitment for the common good, people who listen, who ask questions, who dare to make people uncomfortable when it comes to defending a student or a family. As parents and advocates, we want to say something very clearly, with respect, but also with determination. We will be paying attention. We'll be paying attention to how the voice of the families is heard. We'll be paying attention to how our representatives are elected. We'll be paying attention to how the promise of protecting all our students is kept without exception. We're not seeking conflict, we're seeking coherence. We want to have that this participation spaces be true bridges of communication and not symbolic barriers. Okay.
Seguridad escolar. Buenas tardes, representables miembros del board, señora superintendente, doctora Pérez, comunidad presente. Yo, Eugenio Morales, hoy hablo como padre, miembro activo de esta comunidad educativa y sobre todo como alguien profundamente comprometido con la seguridad y el bienestar de todos nuestros estudiantes. Hace unos días hemos sido testigos de una situación preocupante en Santa Ana High School que ha generado temor, incertidumbre y muchas preguntas dentro de la comunidad. No es mi intención señalar ni acusar a ninguna escuela en particular, pero sí es importante reconocer que lo ocurrido debe servirnos como un llamado urgente a la acción. Hemos escuchado, y ustedes como responsables del distrito lo saben, que existen otras escuelas en las que han registrado incidentes que ponen en riesgo la seguridad física, emocional de los estudiantes. Por respeto a los procesos internos y a la confidencialidad, no mencionaré nombres, pero la preocupación de los padres es real y legítima. Por ello, pedimos respeto y firmeza que se implementen medidas preventivas y protocolos de seguridad más consistentes en todas las escuelas donde existan antecedentes o datos posibles de reincidencias. Esto incluye mayor presencia personal capacitado en manejo de crisis y conflictos, revisión de los planes de emergencia y comunicación interna entre escuelas y familias, programas de apoyo socioemocional y mediación escolar y, sobre todo, transparencia en la manera en que se informan y se abordan estos eventos. La seguridad de nuestros hijos no deben depender de la suerte o de la escuela a la que asistan. Debe ser una garantía compartida, una responsabilidad colectiva y un compromiso permanente de todo el distrito. Como comunidad no buscamos culpables, buscamos soluciones. Como padres no queremos miedo, queremos confianza. Y como distrito estoy seguro de que podemos trabajar juntos para que cada estudiante se sienta seguro, protegido y respetado dentro de su escuela. Gracias.
School safety. Good evening, respectable members of the board, Madam Superintendent Dr. Perez, and the community who's here present. I am Eugenio Morales, and today I speak as a parent, an active member of this educational community, and above all, as someone deeply committed to the safety and well-being of our students. A few days ago, we witnessed a worrying situation at Santa Ana High School, which has generated fear, uncertainty, and many questions within the community. It is not my intention to point out or accuse any particular school, but it is important to recognize that what happened must serve us as an urgent call to action. We have heard, and you as district officials know it, that there are other schools where incidents have been recorded and put the physical and emotional safety of our students at risk. Out of respect for internal processes and confidentiality, I will not mention names, but the concerns of parents is real and legitimate. Therefore, we respectfully and firmly ask that preventative measures and more consistent safety protocols be implemented in all schools where there is background or data of possible recidivism. This includes greater presence of personnel trained in crisis and conflict management, review of emergency plans and internal communication between schools and families, social-emotional support and school mediation programs. Above all, transparency in the way in which these events are reported and addressed. The safety of our children should not depend on luck or the school that they attend. It must be a shared guarantee, a collective responsibility, and a permanent commitment of the entire district. As a community, we are not looking for the guilty. We're looking for solutions. As parents, we don't want fear, we want trust. And as a district, I am sure that we can work together so that each student feels safe, protected, and respected within their school. Thank you.
Rosalind?
Hello, Dr. Perez and board members and cabinet. I was a teacher with Inglewood Unified School District for 30 years, and I burned out. I retired in 2019, and it's been my mission. It's been my mission to help teachers and principals mitigate stress so that they don't burn out. I want to help districts keep the best and the brightest. We know that there's a teacher shortage. The stats say 10,000 teachers in California. There are unoccupied teacher positions. I'd like to see a reduction in absenteeism among staff and teachers. And I'd like to see an enhancement of educators' engagement. And this starts with reducing stress. So many educators and principals live with stress symptoms. We come to school with migraines all the time. We deal with insomnia, weight gain, depression, panic attacks, and we come anyway. So again, my son and I, Dr. Emil, MD, we created a program Beyond Self-Care Basics where we address specific teacher/principal stress. It's a 6-pillar program. We're dealing with the physical, the emotional, the mental, the energetic. We deal with meaning, and we deal with relational stress. And again, it's designed to help educators manage stress and to reduce it. In fact, we like to see it really instilled in the culture of a school, specific to each school site. So I'd like to leave you a flyer and a book, Dr. Perez, for you to take a look at, and hopefully we can talk further about this. But I know that teachers are the engine. They're the engine that drives high academic success, and we need to pay attention to this crisis.
Next, we will have Susana Martinez, followed by Veronica DeBru Githens, and followed by Lisa Hernandez.
Hello, good evening, everyone. She's back. I've been teaching not as many years as my colleague here, but it shows what Carver is. I've been there, this is my 29th school year there, and I've been blessed that this is the only school that I've taught at, but we're a great community. And great people have been at our site from time to time. Carver's an awesome place. We have lots of caring teachers who put a lot of extra hours before school, after school. I think a small portion of our staff came, and it shows how much we care for each other. And you know, probably know me as the kinder teacher. And I'm back again, talking about the need of having instructional assistants in the classrooms. I'm going to read you a list of numbers of kindergarten in our district: 23, 23, 20, 24, 25, 25, 23, 18, 19, 17, 26, 23, 23, 26, 16, 24, 22, 17, 23, 21, 26, 23, 25. So about an average in the district's about 23 kids per classroom. But I really want to know how some school sites have 17 kids in their kindergarten. For the past couple years, I've had 25. And my colleague has 25. If we would split them, we could each have 17 and 16. How is it that it's okay for some sites to be at 17 and have a kinder teacher, and I've been at 25? That is important. We need to look into that, the equity across the district, that we all share the same numbers. We also need to look into the need, as I talked before, last year I had a student in my class that would hit and pinch and kick. And talking about stress, it was a very stressful year. My whole family was concerned about me. What's wrong with you? Why are you so sad? Why are you so stressed out? The first week of school, I was walking home. My husband picked me up and he saw me. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I break down crying. I said, "I can't take this. This is out of my control." And I've been teaching for 29 years. We do need to help. TK and kinder teachers, we're drowning. There is a lot of stress in our classrooms. And I am a much better teacher this year because I don't have to carry that stress. Please help kinder and TK teachers.
Good evening, board. I wanted to bring up a safety concern. Last year, we had some students that were eloping, and the parents were very concerned about them getting outside of the school. And so the first thing that was done was our fencing around our school got alarms put on it. But apparently, to some of the parents, that wasn't adequate enough. And so a rash decision was made to put padlocks on all of our exit fences around the school. So not all staff members have a key to open these padlocks. At most schools, if there's outside fencing, you need a key to enter. Staff members have that, but you can't, to leave, you just push the gate open. But at our school, we can't do that. It's padlocked. Our two front, if you've ever gone to Carver, you walk into, toward the office, there's a gate. You have to have a key to enter the gate. And when you leave, you can just push on it. That's fine. You go into the office. That's where usually people get in. You get buzzed in. And then there are some other gates that teachers are allowed to enter in. You need a key to enter through that. Now, you also, somebody rekeyed them, you need a key to get out. Again, not all staff members have a key to get out. So during the day, we are literally locked in the school. If there is an emergency, a fire, an earthquake, let's say I'm injured in my classroom, I'm on the second floor, and I tell the kids, go, run out, go out the back gate. They can't get out the back gate. They don't have a key. I don't have a key to give them. They don't have a key. If ICE were to get into our school and we had to get people out of our school quickly, we couldn't because we are all locked into this school site. I think it's a big, the intent was to keep the elopers safe, which we totally understand that and we totally accept that. We don't want anybody to get hurt. But because of that, now we've sacrificed the safety of every staff member and every person. If the office after hours, I work late sometimes, and I've been there for IEPs, and people from the district have come for IEPs, and when we all go out to leave, I'll walk to my classroom, those people walk out to get out of the school, the office is closed, everyone's gone, they can't get out. I came walking out of an IEP, and there was two ladies, people that were there for the IEP, and they're like, can you help us get out? We can't get out. We can't find anybody. Yeah, sure, and I let them out. I would just like you to relook at this. There has to be a better system so that we all feel like we're not trapped inside the school. There has to be something a little bit better.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Perez. My name is Lisa Hernandez, Executive Director of Nova Academy. I would like to clarify some comments made at our last board meeting in regards to Nova Academy and Nova Academy's working in the shadows. Nova Academy fully followed all legal requirements of our countywide charter petition. On June 10th, we notified the superintendent's office and charter department staff by email. We also hand-delivered our notice to the district office with a signed delivery receipt. Since then, we've maintained open communication with charter school staff, our charter department staff, including a meeting in August to confirm our intent for both a countywide petition and renewal petition. Our school is committed to integrity, transparency, and collaboration. We value our partnership with Santa Ana Unified and look forward to continuing to work together to serve the students in our community. I do have copies of all of the notices and emails that went back and forth should anybody on the board like a copy of it. Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Margarita Gonzalez, followed by Patty Cavada, and then Martha W.
Buenas noches a los miembros del board. Mi nombre es Margarita González. Esta noche voy a hablar de Los Ángeles y no necesariamente de Los Ángeles Dodgers. Voy a hablar acerca del Distrito Unificado de Los Ángeles, quien ha lanzado una página exclusivamente hablando sobre la dislexia y también hablando acerca de la concienciación sobre el mes de la dislexia, que es octubre. Estoy impresionada por la cantidad de recursos, los apoyos, la información y una explicación detallada para los padres acerca de la dislexia. Yo pienso que nosotros en el Distrito Unificado de Santa Ana, porque por muchos años he escuchado que ustedes colaboran y se informan lo que está haciendo el distrito de Riverside, el distrito de Los Ángeles, el distrito de los que están aquí en el sur, y ustedes colaboran demasiado. Yo pienso que en este aspecto ustedes deberían de colaborar un poco más en traer esta información para nuestros padres. Yo pienso que podemos hacer mejor en informar a los padres acerca de este trastorno del aprendizaje para que más padres y más familias se beneficien de esta información y puedan ayudar de una mejor manera a sus estudiantes. En otra nota quiero agradecer al Distrito Unificado de Santa Ana, porque no todo es malo. Quiero agradecer al Distrito Unificado de Santa Ana por esta feria de recursos que dieron por los colegios. Fue impresionante, la verdad, muy bien asistido, mucha información, pero también quiero mencionarles de que Yo como madre de un estudiante de educación especial, no uno, sino dos, también quisiera abogar porque hubiera más recursos y más apertura para nuestros estudiantes. Tenemos a muchos estudiantes en los programas de Adult Transition, ATP, y más sin embargo yo sigo mirando a estos estudiantes que solamente es caminar, ir al restaurante, llevarlos al parque, subir al autobús. En realidad, ¿qué es lo que el Distrito Unificado de Santa Ana le está dando o le está proveyendo a nuestros estudiantes cuando ya transicionan a una edad adulta? Ese es un tema que lo hemos venido trayendo desde hace ya muchos años. Usted recuerda, señora Pérez, cuando estaba el pasado superintendente, tuvimos muchas reuniones hablando del ATP program. Mas, sin embargo, sigue estando igual, donde los estudiantes solamente siguen caminando, siguen yendo a restaurantes. No hay nada significativo que ellos puedan aprender para que ellos puedan salir adelante en un futuro. Eso sería carreras cortas, algo que ellos puedan aprender y beneficiarse de este sistema educativo. Con eso, muchas gracias.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent. My name is Margarita Gonzalez, and I am here to talk about LA, but not the LA Dodgers, but LAUSD. And I just found out they have a page, a web page that's dedicated only exclusively for dyslexia information, and dyslexia awareness, or in the Dyslexia Awareness Month, which is the month of October. And I was very impressed by all the resources they have, the support that they provide, the information that they have available. And this is something that we need to be providing for the parents, explaining to the parents what dyslexia is. And we don't have that at SAUSD. For years, I've heard that SAUSD collaborates with other districts, the Riverside, LA, districts in the South. They collaborate a lot. I believe that the district should collaborate with Los Angeles, in this case, to bring this information for the parents, because I believe that we can do better in providing this information, to provide more information for the parents and for the families so that they can help their students. And I'm also here to thank you, because it's not all bad. So I also bring thanks for the college resource fair that we just had. It was great. They had lots of information. It was well attended. Lots of information. But as a mom of special education, of two special education students, I'd like to see more information, more resources about to support our students in special education and what is available for them as well. We've talked about the adult transition program, and it's okay. And what are you doing? You're just helping them to walk, to go to the restaurant, to go to the park, to get on the bus. But what should SAUSD be providing? Is that all the district is providing for our adult transition? For years, we talked about this, and with the prior superintendent, Dr. Perez, we talked about this and the ATP program. What are we doing? We need to do more than just going for walks and going to the restaurant. We need to provide real resources, some vocational opportunities, vocational careers, options for our students so that they can be engaged in the educational system. Thank you very much.
Patty?
Good evening, Board. I am here as the students that are here in your district. AB 495 was recently signed by Governor Newsom, and it puts California children at risk, especially children from immigrant families, both documented and undocumented. And that's why this board must be proactive and educate parents on the legal meaning of guardianship, so families understand how their rights and their children's protections may be affected. This law opens the door to potential child exploitation and even what some call legal trafficking. Under AB 495, a person can file an affidavit and authorize a child to receive gender-altering medical procedures without the parent's knowledge or consent. That's unacceptable. I ask that this board follow the recommendations of Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and to ask parents to go to their emergency contacts and make it clear that no medical procedures should ever be performed on their children without a parent or legal guardian's approval. We need to protect parents and children. Too often, the immigrant community, especially undocumented parents, are misled or kept in the dark about laws that affect their families. This board has a duty to inform, not to promote partisan agendas. And this is another reason why not to support Proposition 50. Giving away rights in the name of fighting political opponents is dangerous. No American has ever given up their rights and easily gotten them back. Just look at the Patriot Act. It's time that this board focuses on protecting children and empowers parents instead of pushing politics driven by fear or ideology. Let's keep politics out of our schools and put the kids first. You are all obligated to work for the people that elected you. So clearly people respect you. But you also have to make it a point to be extremely transparent about these laws. AB 495 was pushed to undocumented families in a very deceitful way. I'm first generation American. That makes me extremely angry when I see people continue to mislead the undocumented community through fear. So I hope that all of you take it serious to educate the undocumented parents on the proper way to pick a guardian. And if they don't have the resources to have letters notarized, please try to provide those for these families so that everything is properly in place if they do come to the point where there is separation. Thank you.
Martha?
Good evening, members of the school board. I am here tonight on behalf of countless concerned parents and community members who are deeply disturbed by the hundreds of sexually explicit or controversial books currently available in SAUSD libraries, according to your own database. For example, a book titled Identical, found at Santa Ana High School, Century High School, Godinez High School, Valley High School, and Villa Intermediate School, has the following excerpts. So he leans up over me, demanding I do him with my mouth. I can barely breathe, and the teeth of his zipper are biting into my chin. Atta girl, you can't say no. Get the F over here and don't give me shit. Then he opened the snaps on the fly of his flannel pajamas. It stood up stiff. See how much Daddy loves you? Show me you love me. Touch it. That's right. Oh, yes, the sticky stuff icing her hands. It is absolutely unacceptable that our schools, which are meant to be sanctuaries of learning and safety, are exposing students to obscene materials that are undermining the values of our families. Every child in SAUSD deserves to attend a school that is free from pornography, period. As a reminder, this is not the first time that you have heard concerns from us. Yet you recently publicly claimed that there were no complaints regarding books in our district. Complaints during public comments should also be considered legitimate complaints. The content you have heard should be more than enough to show that this is inappropriate for minors. Part of sexual harassment is distributing sexually explicit text or graphics that are unwelcomed. These are unwelcomed. So who is responsible for placing these books in our kids' hands? Is it the school principal? Is it the board president, superintendent, teachers? Whoever it is, they must be held accountable. And to those who accuse parents of book banning or anti this or anti that. Let me be clear. Advocating for age-appropriate content is not the same as banning books. Our demand is very simple. Protect children from material that is both harmful and developmentally inappropriate. All schools have a moral obligation to vet all books made available to students for age appropriateness. The sexualization of children must stop. Words such as inclusion, educational, and affirming should never be used to justify the presence of vulgar, explicit books in our district. Shame on SAUSD for justifying furnishing harmful materials to minors under the guise of inclusion. Thank you.
Next, we have Monica L., followed by Nancy, and lastly followed by Jessica Godinez.
Hello, members of the board. Mr. Hector Bustos, I heard you criticize Trustee Brenda Lebsack for being a school choice advocate. First of all, that was on her campaign statement and one of the reasons why she got elected. So that was never hidden. We voted for her, primarily one of the main reasons for this. Being a school choice advocate means you trust parents and give them a choice to make educational decisions that are best interest of their kids, not the public schools kids. Of course, if you are not a parent, it may be hard for you to understand this freedom, that this is important to parents. Not all kids are the same. Some thrive best in smaller schools and environments. Some need homeschool or hybrid environments, while others prefer military or private school because it aligns with their values or unique situations. Being a school choice advocate does not mean someone is anti-public schools just because charter schools are public schools. Charter schools are equally funded by our tax dollars. That's very common knowledge and it's been that way for quite a long time. Charters started becoming more popular because parents wanted more choices and they did not want their kids stuck in underperforming schools based on the neighborhoods they lived in. They want a school that would teach their children how to read and write and do math with scores that have proved those outcomes. Can you blame them? In fact, if you were to take a poll at your school staff, I can guarantee you many of your own teachers and administrators have their own children in various types of schools, whether it's charter schools, private schools, online learning, homeschool, or neighborhood public schools. Parents want a voice, and we're waking up to the fact that the California Teachers Association does not support pro-parent rights. The CTA is politically driven, and parents do not want their children to be used as political pawns or activists for their self-serving causes. Some of these radical causes are defund the police, deceive parents, radical gender ideologies, so-called quote-unquote social justice through BLM, DEI, CRT, and so on and so on. Parents want schools to focus on fundamental academics to educate, not to indoctrinate. Mr. Bustos has his own agenda for our kids, for example.
As LGBTQ plus History Month, but also recognizing October 11th as National Coming Out Day, November 20th as Transgender Day of Remembrance to honor, and also April 10th as National Day of Silence, and June 2026 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month. And again, encourage all of our schools to create spaces, create opportunities for our LGBTQ plus students who are out, and for those who aren't, recognizing October 2020.
This is why school choice is important. Some parents are against schools being used. Thank you, that's your time.
Good evening. My name is Nancy, and I've been a resident of Santa Ana for 35 years. With Veteran Day coming up soon, I have a question for this school board, but especially President Bustos. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. My father served in World War II in Libya, Africa, delivering supplies to troops via train. The father of my 3 children was an Army helicopter pilot and officer. I did not live a comfortable civilian life for 8 years because our family had to pack up and leave whenever my husband was called to serve in a different state or country. He also was in the Vietnam War. He was drafted in the Vietnam War. After getting out, he enlisted as a helicopter pilot. He wanted to learn how to fly helicopters. However, I have no regrets because I know the sacrifice was worth it. This country is worth it. I have lived in Germany and 3 states and also visited 13 countries and islands. There is no other country in the world that has the freedoms we enjoy. That's why so many people risk their lives to come to America, such as the Cuban man who spoke last month. He escaped Cuba to come to America after his father was shot by communist militants for no apparent reason. When I attend these board meetings, I notice President Bustos does not pledge the American flag. We live in America, so he has the right to do this. However, if you lived in Iran, you would be arrested and imprisoned for such an act. Therefore, as a daughter and wife of veterans who sacrifice every day for the freedoms you enjoy, I think the veterans of Santa Ana deserve an explanation, especially if you are running for re-election. Although you ran unopposed 3 years ago, you still represent us by default, and your views and actions influence the children in our district. President Bustos, according to the graduation speech you gave in Santa Ana High School last spring, in which that lady shared part of it with you, you implied America is racist, America is evil, and unworthy of respect. If you do not like America, then why do you choose to live here? If you hate capitalism, then move to a socialistic or communist country where the government dictates your wage, your thoughts, and behaviors. As a daughter and wife of veterans, I find your view of this country concerning and offensive. I hope future representatives-elects respect the price veterans have paid for the freedoms we have in America. And God bless America.
No permiten grabación. You're not allowing recording, so do you? She recorded what she wants to say, but no permiten grabación.
Good evening, Doctora Perez and members of the board. My name is Jessica Godinez, and I am a product of SAUSD. I'm parent of alumni, and I'm also mother of a district staff member. My connection to our district is deep and generational. I say our district, most of the times my district, with intention because with leadership changes, our community remains. We are the constant, and our children are the ones who live with the consequences of the decisions made in this room. My family's experience with SAUSD is a tale of 2 districts. 2 of my children received an exceptional education from dedicated teachers who went above and beyond. For my other 2 children, who were in special education, the experience was profoundly different. One endured an abusive teacher who segregated him and denied him access to general education and other peers. The other was denied critical mental health services while grappling with suicidal ideation. These experiences forged me into the advocate I am today. In fact, it was the district's failures that rerouted my own life, pushing me to pursue higher education so I could effectively fight for my children's rights and the rights of other children in our community. Which brings me to why I'm here tonight. I am currently being approached by parents from Franklin Elementary who report an abusive teacher and a principal who refuses to listen. This is chilling echo of my own past. While I have chosen for personal reasons not to work directly with those parents on those cases, I am here to demand that you do your job. I am calling for an immediate and thorough, transparent investigation into the situation at Franklin Elementary. Staff must be held accountable for their behavior. There should be no room for abuse, and the line must be drawn clearly and permanently. Yet this board has history that erodes community trust. Last year, you rewarded Maylin Shu with full retirement benefits after her abuse of students at Carver led to a class action lawsuit. We also had a sexual predator at Santa Ana High School who groomed my own child with the principal's knowledge. Enough is enough. The complicity must end. I know we have a new superintendent. You hold your positions because of this community. You are entrusted with our most precious resource, our children. It is time to honor that trust. We're not asking for a favor. We're demanding accountability. Do your job and protect our children. Thank you.
This concludes public presentations.
All right, we will now go ahead and move on to our consent calendar. Do any of my fellow board members wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Items 10.1 through 10.16, and the consent calendar construction and bond-related items 11.1 and 11.2. Dr. Alvarez, sorry, Ms. Lepsak, any items from you?
Oh, yeah. Did Dr. Alvarez want to go first?
No, let's go ahead and go with you first.
Okay. Yes, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, 10.7, and 10.11.
Thank you. Dr. Alvarez? Okay. Ms. Magdaleno?
Ms. Lepsa pulled one that I was going to talk about.
Okay. Ms. Brazier-Seves?
Same, mine were already pulled, thank you.
Great. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the remaining items?
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, let's proceed to vote. Okay. Okay, do you want to just state it on the, state it for the record?
Oh, it restarted.
Okay. Okay, on a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Sorry, there's just some technical difficulties up here, issues, but we've figured it out. Okay, on a 5 yes vote, motion carries. Let's go ahead and move to item 10.2.
Ratification of increased board membership dues for the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials 2025 through 26 school year.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Lepsak?
Yes, okay, for 2.2, it is ratifying an increased board membership dues for the National Association of Latino Elected Appointed Officials. Now, we just voted for that, and we voted to do that. And I was really good with that because I figure it's an opportunity to network with the people. But when they raised their dues, I started thinking about it a little more deeply. And at the last CSBA conference, when we were in Anaheim, I know we all attended, I think all of us did attend the Latino CSBA luncheon, and it was paid for by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And I remember them having a panel encouraging us to implement the California math framework. Is that what you recall, board members? Do you remember that event that we attended together? I'm just asking. Yes? This is supposed to be a discussion, so I figure. Okay. So anyways, I just looked into more of the California math standards, and the California math standards, basically, our standards say that by third grade, kids are supposed to memorize their multiplication facts, right? And that fluency and time is important. But our math framework, the math framework that was passed in 2023, is actually advising that students not memorize their multiplication tables, and it de-emphasizes time tests for fluency and speed. Now, as I read and done research on this, that most high school math teachers believe this causes problems for students, especially when they get to more advanced materials. And San Francisco Unified School District fully implemented the California math framework and was compliant district-wide. And according to an outside review, it actually failed. They removed Algebra 1 from 8th grade, And San Francisco Unified School District found that the California math framework especially harmed students of color, Black and Latino students. It increased the learning gap rather than helped close it. Okay, so I guess my question is, I really don't want to be a part of this organization because I don't think they're doing their due diligence to vet things before they recommend them to board members. And so I don't want to be part of this. I'm going to vote no because of the recommendations.
Dr. Perez, can you clarify the difference between the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials, NALEO, and CLSBA, the California Latino School Boards Association? I think there might be some confusion.
Yes, if I could provide some clarification, I think that might be helpful. So this 10.2 is related to NALEO. That is the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials, not associated with or the same as CLSBA. CLSBA is the California Latino School Board Association. Those are two separate entities completely.
Okay, they're very similar then. Quite similar because they're both dealing with Latino elected officials, but they have different names.
Well, they do serve Latino. I would not make that assumption that they're the same. I'll be honest, with NALEO, what I know about them is there's actually, this is not like a partisan group. If you're an elected official as a Republican or a Democrat or like board members who are nonpartisan, this organization is open up to all. CLSBA is actually all school board, and if you happen to be Latino or serving a Latino community and want to be part of, you are, welcome to do that.
So this one is broader, meaning it could be for senators or
It
congressmen,
is,
assemblymen.
definitely.
Okay, understood. So would you mind, since, that's new to me, could you provide in a B2B maybe a difference between those two organizations so I have a better understanding between the two?
Sure, we will definitely provide information related to really any and all organizations that our board is part of so that you guys are working in a space where you feel, knowledgeable and comfortable about the groups that we're partaking in.
Perfect, thank you.
Dr. Perez, is there an urgency to approve the membership dues? Like, do we have to pay by a certain time?
No. So how we got to this ratification is that actually we were being proactive. And we brought all of our memberships early. And then, and this is not the first one or the only one, but organizations then made adjustments to their membership fees. And so that's why this is before the board tonight. I don't know that there's a sense of urgency around this.
Okay. If Ms. Lepsak needs a little bit more time, I'd be happy to just table the item so that there is a clear understanding, so all 5 board members are ready to vote on this item when it comes before us. Is there any opposition to that? I'll go ahead and make a motion to table the item until we get some more clarifying information on the difference on both organizations. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, so we have a substitute motion. If that fails, then we'll bring it back for just the original motion, okay? So the substitute motion we're voting on now is to table the item.
Thank you.
Can we get the voting? Thank you. Okay, on a 5-yes vote, the motion carries. Let's move to item 10.3.
Acceptance of gifts in accordance with Board Policy 3290, gifts, grants, and bequests.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Okay, we have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Lepsak?
Yeah, I want to take a second just to thank the Public Schools Foundation because they're donating $40,000 worth of those book vending machines. And I know I saw them when I worked in Lincoln and when I worked at Roosevelt. They're very attractive and they're very incentivizing for kids to get coins or tokens to pick their own book, to read their own book. And I just think it's awesome. I know I talked to Janelle McLaughlin and Teresa Coda, and I just wanted to publicly thank them.
Ms. Brazier-Aceves?
Yes, thank you. I also want to extend my gratitude to the Santa Ana Public Schools Foundation for their continued generosity in supporting literacy across our district. I've had the opportunity to engage with students at Jefferson and Lydia Romero Cruz, who are truly enjoying their books through the vending machines. And it's such an exciting way to get our students' interest and distribute books among our students. And these efforts directly are helping to advance our district's literacy goals, helping more students discover the joy of reading and reach grade level proficiency. So I'm really happy to see just the cohesion of all of our work together around our district goals for literacy and just the intentionality. And I really think that this effort and these generous contributions to our school sites is really going to help make that difference. So thank you.
Ms. Magdaleno?
Yes, I just quickly also want to echo my colleagues' comments. You know, literacy is one of our priorities here at the district, so I do want to thank Santa Ana Public Schools Foundation for the great donation of books. I know that I've seen one at Carver, Henninger, Monte Vista, and many more schools have them as well. And it's just the look on our students' faces when they get to put the coin into the vending machine, and it's like a snack is going to come out, right? But it's even better for us. It's a book that they can take home and they can read. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Alvarez?
I had the opportunity to see one of the vending machines over at Madison. I think that they're really awesome. But I had a question for Dr. Perez. Okay, so when it comes down to donations or contracts or anything like that, what is the correct process if a board member wants information?
Tell me a little bit more.
Let's just say the vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
If a board member wants to know a little bit more, can we go directly and talk to the donors and say, hey, give me more information? What's this about?
Actually, those requests should come. Were you going to add something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Those requests should come through the superintendent's office. That is actually part of our policy, and it is part of my day-to-day operations for the district that those requests come through the office of the superintendent. We're happy to provide any information that the board is asking for. Whether we like the information or don't like the information, our job is to provide the information for our board so that you guys are remaining in the know of what's going on.
And we do have a governance training coming sometime in the near future, but I get frustrated because it seems like it's going to be forever before we get to it. So I am going to take the time to talk about our policies because I want to make sure that our board is following policies. As a governing board, our integrity depends on following transparent and consistent procedures, especially when it comes to donations, gifts, and partnerships offered to our district. Our board policy 3290, gifts, grants, and requests, clearly states that the superintendent or designee is responsible for reviewing and accepting all proposed donations to ensure they align with district goals, legal requirements, and equity across our schools. Once reviewed, the board acting collectively may officially accept those gifts in public session. This means that no individual board member may independently contact or negotiate with the donor on behalf of the district. Doing so could unintentionally bypass our internal checks and compromise transparency. Board Policy 9200 reminds us that no single trustee has authority outside of the decisions made by the board as a whole. We operate as one body. Individual actions, no matter how well-intentioned, can blur the line between governance and administration, and that's the line our policies require us to respect. If a board member has questions about a specific donation or wants clarification, there is a clear and ethical path forward. Board Bylaw 9330, Board Information Request, establishes that all board members' requests for information must be directed to the superintendent or designee, and that responses are to be shared with the entire board. This ensures that every trustee has the same information and that all discussions are grounded in equity, fairness, and transparency. By following this policy, we not only get our questions answered, we also prevent misunderstandings, avoid potential conflicts of interest, and maintain consistent communication between the board, the superintendent, and our community. So when it comes down to donors or partners or organizations willing to support our schools, the right course of action is to allow the superintendent's office to manage the communication and vetting process. Then as a board, we can review the proposal publicly, ensuring full accountability to our community. At the heart of the issue is trust. Trust that every gift to our district is handled transparently, ethically, and in the best interest of all students. When we act within our policy 3290, 9200, 9330, we honor the trust, preserve public confidence, and reinforce the integrity of this board. Did I leave anything out?
No, but if I can add, this really is a protection for our board members, and we do have the conflict of interest for first read tonight. It's not to prevent the board from doing anything that is within your role of representing your constituents, but really to try to minimize any perceived idea that folks are having interaction with any donor and may potentially be asking for other things. And, you know, there's people jump to conclusions, and in order to protect our board, that's why these things are in place. And so thank you for raising that.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. Ms. Lepsak?
Speaking of jumping to conclusions, I think Dr. Alvarez is really jumping to a lot of conclusions. First of all, I just went through 3 Saturdays worth of ethics boot camp for board members. So I went through all the policies to refresh. Second of all, Janelle McLaughlin is one of my neighbors. Teresa Cota, we've been with Los Amigos together. She's asked me to speak at her event. She requested that I get together with her and some of their group way before this donation. I'm just saying thank you. I had nothing to do with the donation. I just noticed it on the agenda, and all I'm doing is saying thank you.
And can I clarify? I don't think that there was I can't speak for Dr. Alvarez, but I don't think there's a jumping of, that your thinking was that you had any part of that. We've had a partnership with Santa Ana Public Schools Foundation for many, many years, and they have donated the book vending machines before for the past, I think, 2 or 3 years. So I don't think I did not hear that connection. So the question I think is a good and valid question. It is a good reminder of what our policies and procedures and the things that are coming before our board. Just really, truly to keep our board above question on things.
Dr. Alvarez?
I just wanted to clarify, I think I've spoken several times about training, about we didn't do our board orientation. I've been asking for governance training. It seems like it's forever on. My whole thing is going back to what I mentioned at a previous meeting towards where, but my example is that I was a social worker. I got elected. I became an elected official for a multi-million-dollar organization with $850 billion, with all these policies, with all these procedures. So the thing is, I'm going to talk about some more policies later on. It's not necessarily directed at anything. It's just that I'm inserting them wherever I feel is the most appropriate. And my whole thing is, I just want to keep everybody out of trouble, because the thing is, if somebody gets in trouble as a board member, we all get in trouble. If somebody gets sued as a board member, we all get sued. And the thing is, that's why I've been reinforcing, that's why I've been talking about policies and about training and all that stuff. None of you have gone through a lawsuit here. I've been interviewed as a witness for 2 lawsuits, and that's the most traumatic thing that anybody could ever go to. I don't want you guys to go through that. I've never been deposed, but other board members have gone through 8 hours or 16 hours of deposition. I don't want to go through that. I don't want any of you to go through that. So I'm going to continue inserting policies wherever I feel that they're appropriate.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez, and yes, I appreciate that. And I know that Superintendent and I have been having conversations about governance trainings, and I know that it was actually sent out in the B2B for all of our consideration to reply back to the superintendent's office with potential, companies that do this governance training. So I hope that all of my colleagues had a chance to look at that B2B, respond with your opinion on how we move forward. But I believe that's where we're at, and that's what we're waiting for folks to be able to respond to that so we can get the process going. But with that, let's go ahead and hearing no other comments, let's go ahead and proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Let's go ahead and move to item 10.7.
I had 10.4.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes, 10.4.
Approval of extended field trips in accordance with Board Policy 6153, school-sponsored trips, Administrative Regulation 6153, school-sponsored trips, Administrative Regulation 6153.1, extended school-sponsored trip, and Board Policy 5145.31, transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Lepsak?
Yeah, I will continue to vote no on overnighters because I believe our gender identity policy compromises student safety. This policy is being argued in the California courts right now, and currently the judge is ruling in favor of the parents, not in favor of the California Department of Education, and not in favor of the state. It's the Marabelli versus Olson class action civil rights case under federal rule, which if won on November 17th, will end the Bonta-Newsom campaign that forces schools and teachers to lie to parents. Thank you, Dr. Perez, for providing the names of our overnighter elementary science camps, the 5 partnerships, which are the Fostering Interest in Nature, Newport Bay Conservatory, Environmental and Community Outreach Schools, Emerald Cove Science Institute, and Starbase. My understanding is that we have ended our contracts with the Pali Science Institute, and that is currently in litigation by 2 minor plaintiffs about this gender identity issue called Sandoval versus Paley Institute. So I'm very grateful that we have ended that partnership. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Item 10.7.
Approval, ratification of listing of agreements, contracts with Santa Ana Unified School District for 2025 through 2026 school year.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Lepsak?
Okay. Did we just vote on 10.4? I'm just like, we did. Did I vote yes or no? I don't know. I think I may have done, I meant to vote no.
Okay, you voted yes.
I think I meant,
Okay, so I guess what's the process now that we voted?
I messed up on that. I just said why I was going to vote no, and then I accidentally automatically voted yes.
You can make
So
a
can
motion.
we- yeah.
I think you can make a motion to return to the item and recast our votes.
I'm really sorry. I make a motion to return to the item, and I apologize.
Okay, can I get a second?
Nobody wants to second. Just leave it
I
as
liked your
is.
yes vote. Oh, it's okay, I'll second that.
You're
Okay, we
so
have a motion
sweet.
and a second. Let's vote to return to item 10.4. This is to return to the item.
Okay.
Okay, on a 4 yes, 1 no vote, the motion carries. Okay, let's go ahead and, can I get a motion to approve item 10.4?
What?
Can I get a
So
motion to
moved.
approve? Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, let's proceed to vote. On a 4 yes, 1 no vote, the motion carries. Okay, let's move to item 10.7. We have a motion by Ms. Magdaleno and a second by Ms. Brazier Aceves. Go ahead, Ms. Lepsak.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, President Bustos. Very gracious. Okay, yeah, on 10.7, I wanted to pull out 2 of them, number 1 and number 6. Number 1 is expanded learning programs, and number 6 is Project Kinship. On the expanded learning programs, in our last board meeting, it went really late, and so we did pass expanded learning programs, and it was like a 56-page packet, which I read very carefully, but we voted on it at about 11:15 p.m. So I think everybody was pretty tired, and we didn't have anything left to discuss at
You're
that point.
referring to the to the revision of the plan? Is that what that
Yes.
action item that was?
Yes.
Okay.
The expanded.
Just for clear, it's not this item that you're talking, not this particular.
No.
Okay.
But I want to talk about expanded learning programs because this one is about having a resource consultant for $80,000, which is going to, my understanding, oversee the program and making sure that we are adhering to that 56-page document that we received at the last board meeting. Am I right, Dr. Perez, on that?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I apologize.
No, it's okay. My understanding is it's for a resource consultant.
Correct.
For $80,000 to oversee the program and make sure that we're in compliance with that 56-page document that we received at the last board meeting.
No, it's actually and Ms. Cruz will come up and explain, this is about a piece of programming, not that
Not the
entire.
whole program.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Yeah.
So in terms of ERC, they come out to every individual school and they do site visits to rate the quality based on a rubric we establish to see where we're at within our quality improvement plan and what rating we get to see if there's any improvement needed for the sites. So it satisfies our continuous quality improvement. That's part of our quality standards. So it doesn't rate the specific plan to see if we're implementing the plan or not. That's something that happens internally.
Okay, so for that, I'm sorry, it's not 56, it's 54-page plan. Because like I said, our last board meeting, we got to it at 11:15 p.m. So I wasn't really able to bring up anything in that document that I had questions about, but I really don't know if this is really the time either. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't believe that it is.
Then I
This
can
is-
just meet with you in person and ask you my
Definitely.
questions.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so Ms. Lepsak, you wanted to separate?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Number 6 then, project kinship.
Okay. So we have a motion to separate item number 6 from the rest of the items. Is there a second? Okay, I'll go ahead and second. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and vote to separate item 6 from the rest of the items.
Well, I don't even think we have to separate it, to be honest.
Okay,
I'm just going to talk about it.
Sure.
For a minute, okay. I just wanted to mention Project Kinship because I did get to visit Project Kinship and meet Steve Kim. I know that Ms. Brazier Seves, brought them in and did a recognition for the program. And, being less than a year on the Santa Ana Unified Board, I'm trying to familiarize myself with a lot of the different programs, and we have a lot. And even though I worked in the district 10 years, I worked in elementary schools, so I didn't work so much in the secondary schools. So I wasn't able to see Project Kinship firsthand. But when I did get to visit their new site on 17th Street, super impressed with his leadership, impressed with the program itself, and just really like, what they're doing. I guess, it is an expensive, it's like close to $900,000 that we're spending per year on this particular program that's restorative justice. And I believe it's in 11 schools, 8 high schools, 3 middle schools, my understanding. I could be wrong, but I'm kind of doing it off the top of my head. But I just, I believe this item is about adding it to Segerstrom, right? So my question in Project Kinship is that, I know a lot of it has to do with especially dealing with kids that are maybe more difficult on our campuses. Maybe they're in gangs, or maybe there's behavior or something's going on where they're more at risk. And so they're trying to, initiate some, implement some strategies to help, and also to help the teachers. I guess my question, though, is, first of all, in being a former peace officer, before I was a teacher, I do understand that when it comes to gangs, that we have to reach them in elementary school. We can't just meet them in middle and high school. By high school, it's sometimes too late. And once you're in a gang, it's very, very difficult to get out of a gang. So I don't understand why, we stopped with our elementary intervention with GRIP, but maybe, I would like to ask that we get that on the agenda and talk about that, because I really do think that elementary intervention is important. And I also think, I mean, I know we have the PALS program as well with the city police, but with the Project Kinship, my question, Dr. Perez, is how do we, I assume this is an annual, like every year we kind of look and see what's working and what's not working. And we have a lot of budget issues. We have to look in how we're spending things and make it most efficient to meet the needs of our students. And every site is different. So how do we get input from teachers, from administrators, from our community to know which programs are best suited, not only for our district, but for individual sites, and so that we can make the most of our money and the most of our programs, what we're doing?
So I'm going to turn it over to the team, but before I do, I do want to share that we are always looking at building internal capacity. So while we work with lots of partners, it is our intention, team, if you guys want to make your way up, our intention that we are building capacity within our staff so that we don't stay reliant on our partners forever at the level that we are at today. But there's work that needs to be done. It doesn't mean we're not going to have partnerships with people, because we most definitely need external third-party partners that know our district and that know the way that we want to have the work approached, but at the level that we're at now, not just with Project Kinship by far, we're looking at all partnerships and saying, okay, are there things about this that we could be doing internally, build our team's capacity to do some of that work, so that we are less reliant on outside partnerships. Mm-hmm. So I just want to share that we're always looking at that across the board, but I would like to turn it over to the team to speak specifically to Project Kinship.
I'll speak specifically in regards to being a former site administrator on accountability. So when you look at the funding resource and you're talking about Title I, those Title I's obviously come from the school, which is part of their school site plan. So every year it's documented with data, whether it's through interventions, referrals, ARIES, and that then is shared with the, but then that is shared with the staff as well as with the school site council. So they have to vote to approve that to be able to use that money for example, for Project Kinship or anything else that's part of that funding at the site. So as far as accountability, there is that process. And then again, in that council, it's made up of teachers, students, parents, and again, it's voted on by that committee to be able to utilize those funds.
Okay, so can I just ask, so what you're saying is the school site council is making that decision per site, and then they get input from the teachers, the administrators, and the community, correct?
Yeah, depending on the makeup of the school, again, the amount of students, the amount of kids, anything through that Title I school site council, they vote for that, they get input. It's part of the SIPSA. All that is discussed in there. So for example, say when I was at Saddleback, and if we wanted a program, then say they would bring it forth to the committee, they would present it, a teacher could say, this is kind of what I'm looking for, this is what I want to do. They would bring the data, they would discuss, and then they would vote to see if they would be able to use the funding for that. Now again, it's the Title I funding piece, not necessarily the school.
Thank you. That's the point that I wanted to make sure that we honed in on, because this question came up in our conversation around school site council. So it is those dollars that are overseen by school site council. If another funding source like a grant or something else is used, it would not go through that process. I just want to be very, very clear.
And one other thing, that is, those are restricted dollars. So we can't also just spend it on whatever we want. It's delineated in that process of what it could be used for. So they're restricted dollars. Anything else on Project Kinship?
Oh, I think that's good.
Okay, seeing and hearing no other discussion, Ms. Brazier Aceves?
Yeah, thank you. I think just to add to the conversation, I think as a board member, I know there's the quantitative data and the work that our team's doing and the school sites are doing as they're making their school site plans. but also the qualitative and just observation that I've been able to have on our campuses and seeing our partners from Project Kinship on campus. The response by our students is palpable, and then having those conversations with school site leadership and staff to hear, over the years of partnership, how they've seen a growth in the student mindset and resilience, feelings of connection and belonging, and also academic achievement. And so I just want to highlight that, and also to thank our partners. I know I see our partners here from Project Kinship in the audience too, so thank you.
Okay, seeing and hearing no other discussion, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Let's move to item 10.8.
Approval of listing of no-cost agreements, contracts with Santa Ana Unified School District for 2025 through 2026 school year.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Dr. Alvarez?
Yes, I wanted to speak specifically in regards to the internships. I'm trying to get a grasp on this, so I'm going to think out loud. So we have this item that came before us. We've never actually had interns for board members before. We don't have a policy in place for it. And I did have a conversation with a previous superintendent about 3 or 4 years ago when I thought of getting an intern. And the discussion, I think the conclusion of the discussion was that we needed a policy in order to make this happen. So I'm just thinking out loud here. So this contract says that the district will provide intern education and training as follows. Intern will learn aspects of operating the school district, including but not limited to instruction, administration, facilities, budget, accounting, government funding, and government relations, public relations, human resources, and other functions of the district. So since the intern is assigned to a board member, these are the functions that the board member is going to be performing, which is day-to-day functions and advantage or benefit from the intern services. But the thing is, with no cost community agreements, there's always a mutual benefit that comes from it. So I wasn't sure if this was the most appropriate place to bring this up. We don't have a policy in regards to interns. But normally, in regards to interns, normally they go, I believe, through HR. They go through the intern liaison at their school. They refer them over here and we place them. Why couldn't we go through the intern liaison at their school?
So for these particular interns, there's a variety of colleges and community colleges where students are from. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen that way. That's not the way that it came about. And with our legal guidance, I did work with AALRR around how we might be able to do this. And the guidance provided was that for a board member to have an intern, I want to be clear, not one of our students. This is an intern that is 18 or over, somebody that's outside of our school system in particular. And some may actually be connected with a local university or community college, and some may not. So that's part of the reason that I would see maybe going through a university might be challenging. And the other piece, when I look at this, is the time span is very short on this particular contract or agreement, not contract, agreement. And that would probably be challenging. We would need to create some formalized relationships with some universities around this, topic and having interns that way. Not to say we couldn't do it, but that's not the way that it's come forward at this point in time. And so given that, reaching out to legal for the proper way to do this was guidance provided that we should definitely have something that comes before the board that is documented, who the interns are, and what the quote unquote the role is. And I do see what you're saying about the training. It does make it sound like they are in all these spaces. I think that is provided there so that if there were a time and place where the intern was accompanying a board member and these type of conversations were happening, so long as they're not confidential, that they would have access and opportunity to hear and be a passive participant in that.
Are we to in the next round?
Thank you. Ms. Lipsack?
Dr. Alvarez, what number are you referring to on the no cost?
Number 9 and number 10.
Oh, okay. Do we have, this is new to me, I've never heard of this before. Is there any other school district that you know of where board members have interns?
So I don't, but I did inquire with legal and they had this form already created. And what I learned from our legal counsel was that this was not foreign to him as a lawyer. So this is not the first time that he had experience with it. And so it's how they were able to provide guidance for us actually pretty quickly.
I'm just not familiar with it. I know that the city does it. I mean, you could probably speak to it, Ms. Magdaleno. Aren't you an intern or no? Okay. Or on the city you work with the city under someone else. So I would think, I don't know if this is like if we're trying to model what the city does on a school level, or is that the intention, President Bustos? Are we trying to model what the city's doing, like how they have people under them for each city council member?
I don't think so. I think we're talking about two completely different opportunities here. That's a paid opportunity. This is a volunteer intern opportunity.
Okay, I just need more information because I don't really know what that means. If it means like each one of us get to have an intern, one intern, and we choose that intern, or what the process is of getting an intern, like, I really don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind having an intern. I mean, who wouldn't, right? There's a lot of work that goes into it, into this, but sure, I just need more information.
I think that is part of the reason why that Dr. Alvarez is bringing up the policy. I do think that that's something that we can do and probably should pursue a policy so that everybody does have clarity and know what the process is and how, what an intern does and doesn't do to, have those parameters there. I don't think that would be a bad thing for us as a district. And happy to do that should that direction be given.
So my question is, if we're voting on this, are we actually voting for the internship program? If we vote yes on this?
So this isn't an internship program. This is actually for the interns. And what you see on the attachment, there is actually an agreement, again, that the intern has agreed to. It states things like the term of the internship, which again is a short period. It's ending in December of this year. The training, education and training, it's actually in quotes, so I use that around administration, facilities, that all is encompassing so that should they be in the space and have opportunity to be a passive listener, participant, that it's outlined there that they are able to do that. It specifically lays out there, it's not an employment status for this person. There is no guarantee of employment. This is not something that we're doing to kind of onboard someone in a kind of soft onboarding way at all. It is for their, the way I see it and read it is like for their civic engagement and gaining some experience with how boardsmanship and the role of a board, how that works. I'll be honest, I don't know that a lot of people truly understand what it means to be a board member. Or serve on city council or anything like that. I think folks have an idea of what they think it is and jump in. And so for young people to maybe get a peek at what that looks like and what you said there's a lot of work involved. And there is, I mean, I get to spend at least 2.5 hours with each of you preparing for a board meeting and then the phone calls that we're having, all the, at various times, right? And so for a person to have an opportunity to preview that and understand what it means to really be a civil servant, to be of service, I think is really important. So it's why, bringing this forward, should the board want to codify that in some other way with that direction, I would be happy to do that. Did you?
Ms. Brazier-Seves?
My comment is on different items within this. Do you want to come back?
Yeah, let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait. We'll come back to you. Ms. Magdaleno?
Yes, very briefly, I'll speak a little bit about, I'm very supportive of this internship agreement. Like Ms. Lepsak mentioned, I work under the office of Councilwoman Jessie Lopez, and we currently have 2 interns, and they're great. One of them is a Santa Ana High School student, and one of them is a college student. So we have 2 different interns. And like you mentioned, it's a high-speed environment. They can go over 20 hours. And luckily, we have a partnership with the Work Center who has funding from the state, and they get paid. So it's $20 an hour, which is a great program. If any of our students are interested, they can always reach out, and I can direct them to where they can apply. But the program is a little bit of everything. I'm assuming this is similar to what I have our interns do. They just join me for different events, and it's more about getting them civically engaged. They join us for our council meetings. I go through the agenda with them. I provide them a little bit of information on each item. And I realistically, I tell them, it's a lot of policies that come into place. The council members are policymakers. They're voting on Tuesday nights about any agenda items, whether it's potholes, street lightings, contract negotiations with laborers, a variety of things. And it just opens up doors for them so they can see that there's other work opportunities, whether it is under a council member, under a board member, whether it is them themselves to potentially be in our seats one day, right? Growing up, we didn't know these positions existed. So I think this is a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to voting yes on this. And hopefully we can expand the program, and maybe we can even look towards the state and see if they have funding for school board, like any partnerships with the state, so we can actually pay our interns. That would be great as well. But if you have any other questions, I can definitely answer them, after the meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Lepsak?
So we're talking these interns are high school students or college students?
Correction, sorry. These here are not Santa Ana Unified students. These are college-age students.
Coming from where?
From a variety of different community colleges, local universities. What Ms. Magdalena was referring to was the city's actual program. We don't have an intern program. We do have these 2 interns that we have before us tonight. That, in transparency, we wanted to make sure that we had on record that they are engaging, with us as a district. And so that's why they're before the board tonight.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to pull these 2 items separate, as a separate vote. I don't feel comfortable to vote yes on this, and I'm glad Dr. Alvarez brought this up because it kind of slipped my view. I just don't feel like I have enough information on it, and I think that it could cause our staff to have to put in more time, and I think they're pretty taxed as it is. I just need more information. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It could be a great idea. I would love to have an intern, but I just feel like I need more information before I can vote yes on this. So I would rather abstain for now until I have more information to think on this and understand how it works.
Okay, there's a motion. Let me just take a moment and provide some clarity and explain this internship. So, and give some background, because, I think it's important for folks to have an understanding. So, I communicated with the superintendent's office and with our legal team that I was interested in starting an internship program outside of my office, as part of my office, of the Office of the Board President, to support, and this was really framed as an education policy and public service internship for college-age students, whether you're in college or have already graduated from college or a high school graduate. So all of the interns that are interning out of my office are over the age of 18. Many of them are a product of SAUSD. Many of them are residents of Santa Ana. Many of them attend universities like Berkeley, UCLA, Santa Ana College, OCC. And a lot of the work that they're doing, all of the work that they're doing is directly facilitated by me. They're not going to the superintendent. They're not going to any of the superintendent's cabinets. They're not going to any department heads. They're not going to any executive directors. They're not having conversations with any principals. Everything is handled with me. Is it a lot more work for me to do that? Yes, it is. But I knew that. And a lot of the work that they're doing is supporting with actually putting together our boardroom buzz report that's coming out this week that highlights what we're approving, what we're talking about during board meetings. They're joining me at different community events to be able to engage with our parents and community members to talk about the work that we're doing as a board and as a school district. Some of them are joining me at school site visits and actually walking around with the principal to better understand our education system here in Santa Ana Unified. And so, and at the end of this internship, which is just the fall semester from September to December, they're actually putting together an education policy proposal. So they're all working on an education policy proposal on an issue that they care about that is related to education. And really what they're doing is gaining experience about what an education institution system like Santa Ana Unified looks like, how we operate, and also be able to get in-person experience, be able to make connections with our community, with our educational team. None of them are going to be working with the superintendent. None of them are going to be working with any of our EDs, like I mentioned. Everything is being done through me. And so when I shared that this was of interest to me, I was advised by legal that we would have to put together an internship agreement. If it were up to me, I don't think there was a need for an internship agreement because they weren't going to be working directly with any of our employees. It was made very clearly from the very beginning that this was an unpaid internship opportunity. It was made very clear at the beginning that at the end of their internship, they were not going to be guaranteed employment. This is all voluntary. And these are all students or college graduates, high school graduates that are interested in learning more about education and want to get involved or are building up their experience, whether it be for their master's program, for their career, whatever it is. So I want to make sure that the public has an understanding of the intention of this. And I think now the question becomes, if this is a practice that we want to continue, what do we do so that everybody is able to participate? What was told to me at the time was that we just had to put together an internship agreement for liability reasons, for legal reasons, and we can proceed. There was never any conversation about putting together board policy, board bylaws, making any revisions by our legal team. And so to hear that now, for me is a little concerning because why wasn't that shared with me at the very beginning? Because now this internship program for all of these interns is now at jeopardy if we don't approve these agreements today. So I think that there's a lot to unpack there about next steps and what we can do. But again, I look to our legal team to provide more clarity about what the process should have been, or what should how we should have moved forward. And like superintendent mentioned, this isn't something new. Like this is not something that is new to the world of school boards and having interns and having volunteers. Like I know in Garden Grove, there's a board member out there who has a bunch of interns, and actually a lot of them are high school age students. So I just want to provide that information to community so folks understand where my my thinking and understanding was when bringing on interns to support the work coming out from my office. Okay, let's go to, yeah, okay. Okay, Dr. Alvarez, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna finish thinking out loud. So we have this agreement that's before us. It's an official agreement between the SAUSD and interns. So, and this is my thought process. If it's an official SAUSD contract, it doesn't mention any board members, there's no policy to it, wouldn't that make it your jurisdiction? If it's an official contract, it doesn't specify board members, wouldn't that make it your jurisdiction?
I have to think about that. Yes, at initial, when you're saying it that way, because I am responsible for all agreements that the district enters into, then yes, I do think we need to have legal, and you shared, I heard you say that you brought this up a while ago, and, you know, legal then said we should have a policy and all of these things. That actually wasn't what was shared with Mr. Bustos and I when we spoke with our legal, and they quickly did put together this agreement and sent it over and said, you know, have the intern sign this, and we're good to go. We're good. So that does raise other questions around where that responsibility does lie, because as Mr. Bustos said, the interaction is with him. I have not had interaction outside of meeting them when they came to sign the agreement. There hasn't been any direction that I've given them or anybody else that they've received from.
Well, a couple of things. The way that it's written, it's a contract between SAUSD and the interns, which leads me to conclude that you're directly responsible for the day-to-day. The other part to it also is that it's in conflict with our policies, because the thing is, it doesn't address our policies. That's why I was mentioning that a policy, well, two things. This agreement doesn't mention that there's a waiver to the policy, and there's no policy saying that we can do this. If that makes sense. Now the thing is, for example, we have a policy that says superintendent is responsible for the day-to-day. Board members are responsible for the development of policy, the overseeing of policy, making sure that policy is being carried out. So the thing is, I'm in agreement with this, but I'm not in agreement with the way that it's coming about, because the thing is, if a board member is directly responsible for the day-to-day of his interns, that's cool, but it's not reflected in our policies. So for example, policy 9,200, no individual may exercise administrative authority or direct staff, programs, or operations. All administrative matters must flow through the superintendent or designee. So what I'm saying is that we didn't touch the policies. In order to make this work, we have to amend the policies. We need to amend the policy somewhere in there stating that the exception to this is the work with interns. We also have another policy, policy 4,000, which basically states that it's your duty to oversee the district's entire system. You're responsible for the day-to-day. So what we have before us doesn't say that you're not responsible for this. And that's, I'm thinking out loud here, I'm just saying, what we have before us doesn't address the policies. Because if we implement it the way that it is right here, my interpretation is that we're not meeting policies.
So I think what I'm hearing you ask for is that it's either a clear delineation between the role of the intern and them acting at my direction. And something in there, and you read staff, I wonder if that's the piece that is the delineation is because they're not staff. There isn't anything about them that makes them part of my oversight. So that, and I was trying to look it up right here. I know you have it printed. So I'm hearing you call for some clarity around either are not to be overseen by, and part of the day-to-day functions of the district, which would then alleviate me from being the person who oversees them, and then potentially maybe some sort of policy that outlines
Right.
exactly like how this, I guess, operationalizing how we do this, or how
Right.
this can be done.
Right.
Is that, okay?
What the whole thing is, it makes it appear, if it's an official SAUSD agreement, it falls under you. And there's nothing here saying that it doesn't fall under you. The other part to it is, our policy says board members are not responsible, can't get involved in day-to-day actions. If this is an official agreement and they're responsible for the day-to-day, doesn't that violate the policy? And that's where I'm stuck at.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Alvarez. And I mean, I 100% agree. And these are, when I met with legal, these are the things that I explained, and this is what they brought forward to me as the answer. So it's also a little frustrating to hear that one board member received some information, and I heard some, because this is the first time I hear about having to amend our board policies, having to amend our bylaws, whatever it is, for this. And so that's frustrating to me because we pay our legal team a lot of money, and I expect that their level of service is of quality. And so this is unacceptable, in my opinion, because I think that this was something that shouldn't warrant this huge discussion. But, as I've read this agreement, I mean, it states, even in the, under the section titled displacement, that the intern will work under close observation, will work under the close observation of other district employees. They're not working under the close observation of other district employees. They're just working under observation of, or volunteering, interning under my supervision. So so there's issues. Yes, I agree. Ms. Lepsak?
Yeah, I thank you, Dr. Alvarez, for pointing these things out. I fully agree with you, and I think there's too many gray areas to go forward with this because I think it could be board policy violation the way it's spoken right now. So I thank you for bringing that to our attention. I just have a lot of questions, and I'm not ready to move forward with this at all.
Okay, Ms. Brazier-Seves?
Yeah, I'm wondering if when it talks about displacement or under displacement, other district employees, is that referring to you as a board member? I don't know if our Director of Human Resources could speak to that, or Superintendent Perez, because I believe in some ways we are classified as district employees, and so perhaps I'm looking at this because I know it sounded like from your comment earlier, President Bustos, that this is time sensitive. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we can support the interns to be able to have this experience as we develop it, because maybe we might be reading a little bit like too much into the terminology, but I'm not sure.
So to clarify, the question that I heard be asked was that whether or not a board member is technically an employee of the district.
So yes, they are. I think in this language, it is unclear because it doesn't make reference to a board member. So it could be perceived as any other person in the district, including a board member.
Okay. So, I'm interested in supporting if there's a way to support, if it's time sensitive, but I'll leave that to my colleagues.
Can I make a recommendation? I want the board to be comfortable with this. I actually hear really no opposition to internship. I didn't hear anybody say, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you guys want for there to be clarity about this agreement and what that looks like so that folks can make an informed decision. So if I could take this back and work with our legal team and make sure that what we get out of it is what we need.
Yeah. It is in the hands of the board now, so we would have to have a board member make a motion to table the discussion. and direct the superintendent to be able to, continue to have conversations with our legal team and figure out next steps. So is there a motion for that?
I make a motion that we table it and direct Dr. Perez to look into it more so we can have a more informed decision.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and vote on this to table the item, and then we'll take up the rest of the items. Okay, on a 4 yes, 1 abstention, is that correct?
It was correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, on a 4 yes with 1 abstention, the motion carries. Let's move to the rest of the items. I know that there were questions about some of the other no-cost community partnerships. Ms. Brazier-Seves?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so there was a few other items on this agenda item. I wanted to highlight a few of the partnerships just briefly. I've had an opportunity to see their work in our schools and in our community, in the larger community as well. So I'm really proud to support. I see the Suavecito Foundation is on here, America on Track, and Schools on Wheels. Each of these organizations provide critical, culturally responsive support for our students, our staff, and our families. From leadership and growth programming to mentorship for students with incarcerated parents and academic support for those experiencing housing insecurity or our McKinney-Vento students. These collaborations reflect our shared commitment to meeting the needs of the whole child and ensuring every student has the opportunity to thrive. And so I really wanted to highlight that. I've seen, America on Track in the community working with our students with who have parents who are formerly incarcerated, the work that they do. I know there's other programming on here outlined as well that they offer our schools and our students and families. But the work that they do is really important when we're thinking of equity for our students and families who are having different experiences, right? And needing that additional support to be able to achieve academically among their peers. Schools on Wheels, I've had the opportunity to see them in community collaborative meetings around the county and with different school districts in my roles, through my various roles in the community, and to see, that they, meet our students where they're at. They are providing mentorship for our students who are struggling with their housing, again, with that equity lens of like, how do we lift up our most vulnerable students? The Suavecito Foundation, I've had the opportunity to participate in some of their youth team building activities in the community, and I think it's really powerful to see this partnership because just a small connection. Their executive director shares their experience. Mr. Reyna shares his experience as a student with dyslexia and shares that with the students. And so, in our board meetings regularly, we're hearing from parents and families who are navigating literacy challenges and dyslexia. And so to have these partners who share and relate in their stories and their experiences with our families is so important. So I know, and these are no-cost partnerships. So I'm just wanting to highlight that for our community, that just all of the intentionality and the equity-driven programming. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other speakers on the list. So with that, we can go ahead and vote on this item. 10.8.
Okay, on a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Item 10.11.
Approval of revised agreements for district legal services for various departments for 2025 through 2026 fiscal year.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Ms. Lepsak?
Yeah, I would like to motion that we pull number 8, the Sutherland legal counsel for $200,000 out of the rest of it and vote separately on that.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Okay, there's no second so far. So do you have any questions or comments in the meantime?
Yeah, so on number 8, what I'll have to do probably is abstain from the whole thing, because on number 8, for Sutherland, I would not approve of her $200,000 continuing with the district. She presented a multiple-hour presentation on identity support plans. I thought she did a subpar job, considering this was her area of expertise. She was not aware of current California lawsuits dealing with the issue, and I just thought that was inexcusable. And she definitely had clear bias. So I would not approve of continuing with a contract with Sutherland.
May I address? So I just want to clarify, and Mr. Hacker, please correct me if I'm wrong. The amount of 200,000 was already approved. We brought this forward for any revision. So what you see, and I'll give you an example looking at the one right, actually, let's go to number 6. Is that a good example? Sorry. Number 2. Thank you. I heard someone in the audience say that. Number 2, if you look at number 2, Ms. Lebsack, yes, you'll see that there is the amount for 2025-26. It's $1,425,000. Now you see the revision in the column over to the right that says revised 25-26 amount of $1,200,000. So that's actually what's before the board tonight, is the change in amounts. So we're bringing this really to just be, and I shared this with you all, to really be transparent about where we are spending dollars for our legal fees. So if you look at number 8, there is no change there.
So this is $200,000 that we already spent.
Not necessarily already spent, but was already approved by the board.
Oh.
And when was this
Okay, then.
approved?
In June.
June of 2025 of this year?
Correct.
Okay, so by this board, it was approved.
Correct. And part of that, actually, some of this probably paid for, that would have been billed, the presentation that she gave would have been billed from this amount.
Right. Okay, so maybe for future notice. That's where I stand on that. Okay.
Okay, seeing and hearing no other discussion, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Let's go ahead and move to our regular agenda items.
President Bustos,
Yes.
if I may ask to remove item 12.2 from the board's consideration for this evening?
12.2, okay. Is that the only item you're pulling tonight?
That is.
Okay. In that case, let's go ahead and move on and with our regular agenda, beginning with item 12.1.
Approval of tentative agreement with Communications Workers of America Union, Local 9510, for the 2024 to 2025 school year.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's proceed to vote. Dr. Alvarez? On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Item 12.3.
Approval of memorandum of understanding renewal between Santa Ana Unified School District, Santa Ana Public Schools Foundation, and City of Irvine for Measure BB Challenge Match Grant.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second? I will
Second.
second.
Oh.
Beecha. Any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Item 12.4.
Approval of facilities use agreement extension between Santa Ana Unified School District and Edward B. Cole Senior Academy Charter School through the 2028 through 2029 school year.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Item 12.5.
Adoption of resolution number 2526-3702, California State Preschool Program Continued Funding Application for 2026 through 2027 academic year.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second? I will second. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Item 12.6.
Adoption of resolution number 2526-3703, supporting Proposition 50, temporary adjustments to congressional district maps.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second? I will second. Any discussion? Ms. Magdaleno?
Yes. So I decided to me and President Bustos decided to bring this resolution forward because we thought Proposition 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, is more important than ever. While the federal government is turning its back on public education, our students are the ones paying the price. From cutting access to basic needs like food, healthcare, to slashing critical education funding, these actions are hurting our students and our classrooms. By supporting Proposition 50, we're standing up for California's right to elect representatives who will protect our students and defend our public schools. Proposition 50 reinforces that principle by safeguarding California's ability to advocate for students, families, and schools through fair and balanced representation. This administration's policies are creating fear and instability by even separating families from our students. And that has no place in our district or in our school sites. Proposition 50 will shape California's congressional representation and ensure we continue to defend public education, secure the resources our students need during these challenging times. So I just want to urge the public to let's make sure that we vote on November 4th and let our voices be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Ms. Lepsak?
Let me tell you why I'm against Prop 50 and this resolution even being brought to the SAUSD board. First of all, we have a state government that tells immigrants that they want to protect them from deportation, but they take away their parental rights and they pass laws to mandate schools to lie to parents. The state that this board says it's protecting immigrants' children is actually enabling human trafficking and using our schools as a pipeline for it. How? The how is through the LGBT suicide hotline, Trevor Project and Trevor Space, which Governor Newsom has mandated be placed on the back of every student ID card from 7th grade up, starting July 2026. How do I know this? I checked it out myself. I pretended to be a child, said I was unsure of my gender, scared about puberty, what should I do? Trevor Project, after they determined I was not harming myself, told me to go to Trevor Space to explore my genders and sexualities. They told me it was a safe place and that I could make good friends who would offer support. To get in, I just put in a date of birth of a 13-year-old, and I was in within seconds. Parents and staff, do this yourself. Go to trevorspace.org. You will see it, that it is a pedophile's paradise. And titles of the chat clubs were very disturbing. Chat clubs called My Children, saying, come to me, I'll be your daddy. When I took this evidence to Mr. Almendarez with a lawyer, SAUSD removed all the Trevor Project posters out of the elementary schools. I see that even our school district bathrooms, Trevor Project is covered up on the We Care posters. I took the evidence to a retired SWAT police sergeant. He did his own investigation and found that kids were being lured into unmonitored platforms such as Discord, which is known for child abductions. Together, we went to Sacramento and asked the Senate Education Committee to research this before they voted yes on AB 727. However, they did not look into it. Instead, they voted yes and sent it to Governor Newsom's desk for a signature. I went to a larger educational organization to show the evidence, and they were shocked at what they saw. They also tried to warn Newsom of the dangers for minors, but he ignored them. I vote no on Prop 50 because I do not trust Governor Newsom, who will put our school kids in harm's way of human trafficking. He should not be given more power through this proposition. 3,500 children are missing. Human trafficking is today's modern slavery, but our state government passes laws to incentivize traffickers and is using public schools as their pipelines for exploitation. This shiny candy apple called the LGBTQ suicide hotline has a razor blade inside. That is why the Trump administration defunded the Trevor Project, because there's a lot more going on under the surface in this country than what people realize. The very ones the Democrats say they protect are the ones they harm. AB 495 is another huge example of this. It removed the guardrails of protection for immigrant parents and their children. And yet, it's a very deceptive title that says otherwise. One of our speakers tonight talked about AB 495, and if we're going to tell parents their rights, we need to tell them about AB 495, and what she said was totally true. They need to upgrade their contacts on their emergency cards, because people can fill out an affidavit. It doesn't have to be notarized. It can be fifth relative removed from them, okay? And I will show you the affidavit, Dr. Perez, so you can see the loopholes with your own eyes. It's unbelievable, and it's getting out there, and the lawyers are talking about it, but this is what our Governor Newsom is doing. It's putting kids in harm's way and using our schools to do it. I say no on Prop 50.
Ms. Brazier-Aceves?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will be supporting this resolution as well as Prop 50. And I want to thank my colleagues on the board for bringing this forward for our team. It's critical that our community sees us as a board and as a district continuing to stand in solidarity and alongside our students and families who are directly impacted by the policies that are outlined in this resolution. When our community is being attacked, here we see in the resolution mention of meals for our students, Medi-Cal, CalFresh, school meals, and the cascading effects and the ripple effects that these changes at the congressional level or the votes at the congressional level have had on our communities. It's vital that we stand together because, it might be one family or certain families under attack right now, right? But where does that end? And I think it's critical for people to think about that. And our board has taken a very active role in directing our superintendent, our previous superintendent, and our current superintendent since before this administration came into office to very boldly stand with our communities, not just on paper and resolution, but through the work that we do in each and every day. And so I think that has had a ripple effect in our communities as well. And it's a way to push back and to be bold and to be brave when it can be very easy to kind of step aside or just focus in on our own lives when things get overwhelming, which I think for many of us, we may be feeling that. I know I am. And so I think for me, this resolution is another opportunity, another way for us to voice to our community, to our students, our staff, and our families that we stand with you through these difficult times, and that we'll continue to advocate together. And just really quickly, I know on line 47, it mentions the IDEA and federal programs and funding for Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And I know myself, along with other colleagues, have had a chance to meet with our congressional representatives, to travel to DC in previous years with associations to advocate for more funding. And we, under the IDA, I believe our district is funded like 8% by the federal government to implement federal mandates to support our students with disabilities. So just keeping that in mind, where we were at already and the struggles to support our students and bring equity and fairness to each student. And we heard earlier from our parents advocating for their students in special education or with IEPs, and so if that's where we were at before, right, and the need was there, and then to think about where we are now under this administration and where they're trying to bring things. So it's just, what I'm trying to say is that it's critical that we continue to push back, and I think this is the way that we're going to do it is through, as a state together, through Prop 50. So I'm proud to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I just have some final comments. So the comments that we, are hearing tonight from Ms. Lepsak on our board are truly representative of the sitting president of the United States and his administration. Instead of talking about the fact that the federal government is kidnapping people in their communities, tearing families apart, cutting Medicaid, Medi-Cal, CalFresh benefits for hundreds of thousands of California families, our students. Instead of talking about the hundreds of millions of dollars that they're taking away, that they're canceling in education grants, particularly those that are allocated to support the recruitment and retention of highly qualified, diverse educators. Instead of talking about how the federal administration has frozen billions of dollars in previously appropriated education funding, destabilizing district budgets, and jeopardizing district-wide or statewide essential programs, instead of talking about how the federal government has proposed to cut education funding by 15%, including the elimination of block grant funding for many education programs for the fiscal year, instead of talking about proposing a 15% reduction to federal education funding, federal programs such as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and this leaves schools under-resourced to meet the needs of students who are students with disabilities, English learners, and other vulnerable populations. They're scapegoating 1% of our country's population. This resolution before us tonight talks nothing about gender identity. It talks nothing about transgender people. It talks nothing about the Trevor Project. But that's all we heard from one board member. And that's exactly what the Trump administration, the federal government, is set out to do, is try to take away the attention from the fact that they are hurting more than ever before working class Americans, middle class Americans in this country. And so the resolution that we brought forward tonight was intentional. We didn't talk about all of the other things that are not education related that this administration is doing. We intentionally focused on the ways that this administration has and will continue to hurt our public education system in this country if we don't do something about it. If California doesn't respond and doesn't react. And what Prop 50 is set out to do is to ensure that we have a fair playing field on the federal level, that our Congress members who are pro-public education have the support, have the votes they need to ensure that every single student in our country has access to a high-quality education. Every single one. Prop 50 is not the end. Prop 50 is simply a temporary solution, and it's part of the reason that I'm supporting it. Because I believe that this power does not belong to politicians, but the moment that we're living in now, this unprecedented moment, requires action. And it's part of the reason why Governor Newsom, unlike Governor Abbott in Texas, is actually bringing forward this proposition to California voters and asking them to vote, asking them to decide if we are okay with moving forward with this temporary solution until 2030, and then at that point, ensure that the independent citizen redistricting commission will be formed again to redraw the maps. And so again, I'm supportive of this resolution because it simply talks about what we can do and what is at stake for public education in the United States. And for those reasons, I'm going to support this resolution, and I urge my colleagues to do the same. And with no further comments, let's proceed to vote. Ms. Lepsak? On a 4 yes, 1 no vote by Ms. Lepsak, the motion carries. Let's go ahead and move on now to items 13. Ms. Quiros?
I think we still need 12.7 and 12.8.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, say it. Yes, 12.7. Go ahead.
Adoption of revised board bylaw 9010, public statements.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Dr. Alvarez?
A couple of things, just for the public knowledge, I'm just going to highlight some of the changes that occurred. And then after that, I'm just going to make some comments. This board policy has one change which basically states before the way that the policy was that the president or the superintendent were the ones that spoke publicly on behalf of the board. There is a provision in here which now adds something else which says with respect to a specific issue or topic, other people designated by the board or board president may speak on behalf of the board. So this clarifies that it's not just the president or the board president, but if the board, as the board majority decides, or if the president decides he can appoint somebody as the spokesperson for the board. The other major revision was it indicates board members have the responsibility to identify when viewpoint is held by an individual board member rather than the board as a whole. For example, a board member may include a disclaimer on the board member's social media account when that board member is expressing personal viewpoints and not as the viewpoint of the board or district. So those are the two major points. I'm going to give you guys something to think about. So these policies, or this policy, was written when we had at-large elections. We transitioned from at-large elections to area-specific elections. And I don't think that this policy truly reflects it, but I'm okay with passing it right now because I think it requires further discussion, and maybe that's something that we can talk about during our board governance. So something to think about. So, for example, if there is groundbreaking or some sort of event in a particular school, shouldn't the board member that was elected to that space be given the opportunity to speak? Or graduations, shouldn't the board member who belongs to that school, shouldn't be given the option to decide on whether or not they want to vote? The bottom line is we went from at-large to area-specific elections. And because of that, I think that our community is calling us out more accountable. So if they're holding us out, they're expecting to see us more and expecting to hear from us. So just something to consider. I'm okay with passing this the way that it is right here, but I do believe that later on down the line, maybe during our governance training, we could talk the specifics of what this is going to look like as we apply it.
Okay, Ms. Brazier-Seves?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Alvarez, for flagging that that's actually something I know that I've had conversations with Superintendent Dr. Perez about, and we've kind of talked through some of those things as well, because in my role, it's come up, right? And so I think we've found a way to work together. I know we had the ribbon cutting ceremony, the dedication ceremony for the Valley Performing Arts Center, and Hector Bustos, as the president, spoke. I also spoke as the representative for the area 4, including Valley High School. But I think it could be helpful to have some more further clarification and just kind of protocols, so that we all kind of know what the expectations are and things like that. So I think it's definitely worth having that conversation. Thank you.
Ms. Lepsak?
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. I think it's a good point. I'd never thought about that. Yeah. Something we should talk about, that maybe when it comes to graduations, since we are divided into areas, that we would be able to speak at the high schools that are in our trustee area. That makes logical sense. Thank you. I agree.
Okay. Ms. Brazier-Seves?
So I know one of the challenges with the high schools and with graduation is that our trustee areas do not have a specific amount of schools or high schools. And so, for example, I have the privilege to represent Valley, Godinez, and Segerstrom high schools, whereas I might have colleagues who don't have a high school in their trustee area. And so, again, I think it's worth thinking through whether it's maybe the board president and the trustee for that area, and just looking at what our options are. I also want to say at the same time, I think there's a reason why we nominate and elect our president to be the spokesperson. So I still want to make sure we're very mindful of the messaging we're putting out as a board and as a district, that our values are clearly represented in our spokesperson, our primary spokesperson. So, but I think there are some ways that and some areas where we can think through this a little bit more. It also comes up with media. I know that there are board members who, right, it's are they speaking on their behalf as a board member representing the community, or does it come off as or appear that they're speaking on behalf of the board or the district? And so where do we draw those lines?
Okay. Seeing and hearing no other discussion, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Item 12.8.
Adoption of revised board bylaw 9012, board member electronic communications.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Dr. Alvarez?
I just had a quick comment in regards to this one. I just wanted to highlight the update that was made to this policy. And I wanted to highlight it not just for us here, but also for the community, for the public to know. The new addition to the board policy says, board members shall make every effort to ensure that their electronic communication conform to board bylaw 9010 public statements, and shall forward any complaints or requests for information to the superintendent in accordance with applicable board bylaws. So basically what this policy is stating is that any complaints or any requests for information that we get have to be forwarded over to the superintendent. And with this policy, this policy is basically stating any form of communications that we have has to go to the superintendent. So, for example, if we use Signal or if you use WhatsApp, and if we're talking specifically about board business, we're required to make a copy of that and forward that over to the superintendent. And those were my comments.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, seeing and hearing none, let's proceed to vote. On a 5 yes vote, the motion carries. Okay, let's move to items 13.
New and revision of existing board policies, first reading, no action required. 13.1, Board Bylaw 9240, Board Training, revised for first reading. 13.2, Board Bylaw 9270, Conflict of Interest, revised for first reading. 13.3, Exhibit 1, 9270, Conflict of Interest, revised for first reading.
Okay, thank you. Those are all just first readings. Let's go ahead and move to our board reports. I'm beginning with Ms. Lepsak.
Okay, well, I did go to the board training last 3 Saturdays, took the Brown Act training, ethnic studies training, very good. So I guess what you were talking about, Dr. Alvarez, was a different training where we would have board governance together, which would be different. Okay, I was just wanting to make that distinction. Also, many of us went to the Longevity Awards. That was really fun. Got to see a lot of colleagues who were getting their 25 years, 30 years, and even more. One specific lady, friend from Martin Elementary School, Miss Claudia, did get, I think it was a 25-year pin, but she was saying that she actually, I think, should have got 35 or more because she was a custodian for 15 years. And I got to talk to her in length because I did see her as more of an acquaintance at Martin, but hearing her story, it deserves to be heard. It's an awesome, awesome story. And so I do hope she got the new revised PIN since she was an employee here for a lot longer than that. Is that right? She did?
I can't confirm that yet because HR, I actually
took care of that.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. I look forward to going to a couple football games this Thursday. Segerstrom, a fun fact was when I went to the longevity event, one of the students who is a son of one of the aides that I worked with at Taft came up to me and said, he is now a junior at Segerstrom. He asked me to go watch him in the band, and he was in one of my Christmas community programs when he was a kindergartner. So I hadn't seen him for a very long time. So I was like, wow. So I get to see him play in the band after he was, it was just fun. I do want to honor the veterans, which is happening Tuesday, November 11th, in our school district and in our community. My dad was a veteran. He fought in the Korean War, and he always told me growing up to really honor and to never take that for granted, the country we live in, because when he went to the Korean War, actually, he's the only one from his platoon that came back alive. And that's probably why he did end up going into alcohol and homelessness for a time until his life was changed, but that took him on a downward spiral after he came back from the war. But I do hope that as a district that we take our veterans, never take them for granted. We have many employees that have been veterans, and we also have many in our community. The Santa Ana Post, which is right there on Grand, I did go to their meeting last week and talk to the commander, and I think we should invite them to come and speak and to honor the veterans that are here in our community. I'm looking forward to going to Dia del Muerto, or I should say Trunk or Treat, this Friday at Washington, and I didn't rent, but I do have a booth, but I'm not going as a school board member. I'm going as an interfaith, the founder of my coalition. And so what I'm doing actually with a group of interfaith community members is one thing. I know, being a minority board member here, I do believe in letting parents know their rights. And I do I'm appreciative of President Bustos, that we do tell parents their rights. However, we're not telling them all their rights. And I think with the Mahmoud versus Taylor Supreme Court case that came over the summer, they have rights that they're not being told, and I'm not sure why our district is really slow pedaling those rights, to let them know that according to that Supreme Court ruling, parents have the right to be notified if there's any type of teaching material that could contrast their religious beliefs. They have the right to opt out of any materials that go against their sincerely held religious beliefs. And I think those parent rights are just as important as their constitutional rights for as immigrants, because those are constitutional rights. Whether you're undocumented or documented, your parent rights are constitutional rights, according to the 14th Amendment. So we will be notifying parents of those rights with a QR code and letting them know. This is what you can do. And I hope that's not something I have to do behind the scenes anymore. I hope it's something that we can do as a district, because I really believe our parents deserve that. They deserve that kind of respect. So that's all my comments for now. Thank you.
Dr. Alvarez?
Yes, I wanted to start with a couple of requests. We had several speakers here. I wanted to thank all the speakers for coming down. We had a parent talk about safety at one of the schools. We had somebody talk about the classroom size, kinder and TK. We had someone talk about the padlocks at Carver, and we also had a Franklin parent coming in and raising some concerns. So I wanted to make sure that we're addressing those concerns. The other things that I just had real quick, I'm really proud of our scholar athletes. The girls volleyball team at Century High School made it to the second round in CIF. They didn't continue to quarterfinals, but I'm really proud of them for making it that far. Tomorrow, the Valley girls basketball, girls volleyball is going to be playing in the quarterfinals. I'm looking forward to watching the game, and I'm really confident that they'll be able to move on to the next one. So I just wanted to say that I'm really proud of all of our scholar athletes. Thursday, we also have Century versus Godinez. Century versus Godinez football game. I'm really looking forward to that. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, it seems like every now and then we have people coming in complaining about books that we have. I've spoken before about what our policy is, what our complaint process is, and all that stuff. I did check the websites, and I did see that the uniform complaint policy is listed on our websites. I wanted to just ask, maybe if we should consider having forms out in the front, not just for that issue, but for any issue, because technically, people can file complaints on anything regarding the uniform complaint process. And in regards specifically to books, if somebody files a complaint for a book, the superintendent has to review it. She can form a review committee if she wants to. If the end result is not satisfactory to whoever files the complaint, then at that point, the next step in the policy is that they can bring that to our board meeting on the agenda. For the 8.5 years, or I lose track of time, the 8 years that I've been here, we've never had a book complaint come here. And I know people are saying that they're coming in and complaining, but the thing is, we do have a process, and I just want to make sure that we do everything possible so that people don't come in saying that we're stalling the investigation or the review process. And that's all my comments.
Ms. Magdaleno?
Yes, I'll be very brief because we're going to finish early tonight. Again, I want to congratulate our classified and certificate employees of the month. It was amazing to celebrate with them and make sure they get recognition as they deserve. I know we have amazing staff here at SAUSD, so any chance I get, I want to hype you all up and give you your flowers. And I also thank you, Ms. Lipsack, for bringing up the longevity reception. It was really nice to see how many folks have devoted their time to our district, to our students, which is amazing. And I want to highlight Ms. Lisa Solomon, who's actually here today, 35 years. Congratulations. Since I started on the board, she's just been amazing. She's been helping me alongside, just helping me learn everything I need to know about engagement, about our FACE team, about all the programs, especially right now during immigration. Her and her team have been doing an amazing job. If I see something that comes up, she answers my question right away, which I appreciate, or she's already on it. So I want to thank her for her 35 years, and I appreciate you. Because you go above and beyond, like all of those celebrated that night as well. And also thank you, Dr. Alvarez, for bringing up the issues that our speakers brought up tonight. Can we check in on Carver with the padlocks, what's going on over there? Let's connect with Mr. Brewer and make sure that we have a plan in place to fix the issues at Carver. Thank you.
Ms. Brazier-Seves?
Yes, good evening. Muy buenas noches a todos. One day I'll get to say muy buenas tardes because we'll be much earlier. But I wanted to share out
a few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to visit Valley High School for their Academies Night, and it was phenomenal. I was greeted by our students who were so professional. I specifically really got to spend a lot of time with the Global Business Academy students this time, and I actually didn't know if at first, as they approached me and welcomed me and invited me in for a tour, if they were students or staff, because they were just so professional. And so it was really great to meet our students and hear about the programs and see the Global Business Academy in action, and to hear from our students directly what it means to them. And then also to hear from our educators about our students. I know I got to connect with an educator about a student that we both have worked with in our roles as educators, and it was beautiful to hear just even the safe space that the academies and our teachers are creating on campus for our students to get support before and after class, as well as through the program. So want to give a shout out to our CTE programs, our partners with High School Inc., Principal Berger and her team over at Valley. So great job. And then last month, I also had the opportunity to co-host our Empowered Community Network, or our Know Your Rights event, alongside Board President Bustos and our team, where we shared information about our board's resolutions and policies, and just really our steadfast commitment in support of our immigrant students, parents, and staff. The event highlighted the many resources available within our district, including our resource line, which I know we've had families reach out, even myself, and been able to quickly connect families with the resource line, where every family that we know of that has been impacted by immigration enforcement has been able to receive the supports that they're seeking. And I want to thank our team for really having those in-depth conversations with the families and kind of serving even as that crisis response in those first moments. And I want to thank our incredible FACE team, support services, and all of our teams really who have engaged in training and the work. They've continued to work around the clock to uplift and support our community through the implementation of our robust immigrant support plan here at SAUSD. Through that work, to date, they've held, as a district, we have held over 10,100 participants. And so that's a huge undertaking and a great accomplishment, something for us to be very proud of. And I'll say it again, I think I'm sure our district is leading the way, not only here in Orange County, but across the state and the country in our work with our families. So thank you. I also want to extend my deep appreciation to our community partners. Attorney Jose Alfredo Hernandez, time and time again, has been in these Know Your Rights sessions, available to our families to answer questions as the information continues to evolve. And so that is an essential service that he's providing. I also wanted to thank Licenciado Fernando Aceves and Licenciada Claudia Bautista from the Consulado de Mexico for their ongoing collaboration, direct services, and steadfast advocacy on behalf of our families. And with that, I will conclude my comments. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my notes together. I know, I wasn't expecting you to finish early. I love it. So just to begin, I just want to share out with the community. I've had the opportunity to do some school site visits out in our community. I had the opportunity to visit over the past 2 weeks, Madison, Roosevelt Walker, Franklin, Sierra, Muir, and Ala Elementary. And it's just been such an amazing opportunity to be able to connect with our students, our educators, our administrators, at staff at all of those campuses. I want to share a little bit about what actually I think a highlight, I think, at each one of those campuses, because I think there's so many great things that our schools are doing, that our educators are doing in the classroom on the day-to-day. And so I just want to highlight some stuff. So at Madison, I had an opportunity to actually visit Madison this past Friday. And it was just so beautiful to be able to see the interaction and the connection that our students have with the counseling team over at Madison. They have built a beautiful program. They have been, they've won awards. They're nominated. currently for different awards, recognizing their outstanding counseling programs and just, you know, their approach to counseling as a whole. So it was beautiful to be able to step into that space and actually see them creating a safe space for the students over at Madison. At Roosevelt Walker, I actually had an opportunity to speak to a fourth grade class, and one of the students actually asked me directly, "What are you doing for immigrants here in Santa Ana?" So it was a beautiful opportunity to be able to explain what we're doing as a school district to make sure that, you know, they feel safe in our schools, that their families feel safe in our schools. Over at Franklin, I had the opportunity to sit down with the kindergarteners while they were eating lunch and actually talk about, you know, whether or not they enjoy their school lunch, like what their favorite things that we offer them to eat are, how we can improve school lunch, what are the things that they eat at home that they wish that they could eat at school. So that was a highlight. Over at Sierra, I actually ran into my former 7th grade teacher that I didn't know. She was at the district over at McFadden, now she's at Sierra. And so it was awesome to step into her classroom and be surprised by her because I hadn't seen her in so many years and had always wondered, you know, where she had gone. And so it's great to hear that, you know, she's at the district teaching at Sierra. At Muir, we had the opportunity, actually, I was joined by Dr. Perez at this visit. We had the opportunity to visit 2 of the medically fragile classrooms at Muir, which I actually, as a board member, never even knew existed in our school district. And so it was an amazing opportunity to be able to step into that space with some of our most medically involved students and the educators and staff there that create a space for them that is safe, where, you know, students feel supported, they feel cared for in every aspect of their educational experience. So that was also very special. And then over at ALA, it was a beautiful opportunity to see some of my former educators from elementary also working there. It was great to also be able to, you know, actually do join students for lunch and hear about their experiences and what they enjoyed. I think that day they were eating tamales, so they were really happy about that and being able to eat some of that food that they're eating at home already. So that's special, and I share about that because I know that I talk a lot about, you know, visiting classrooms, but you know, as a board member, I make sure that my time there on those campuses are intentional, and that, you know, I'm able to cover as much as I can to make sure that I'm informed as a school board member when I make decisions up here. And I want to hear directly from students, from our educators, from our staff at these campuses, and so I want to give everybody who welcomed me into their classroom just a lot of gratitude. The other thing that, you know, there's actually a lot of things on my list that I won't get to, but the other thing that I actually just want to talk about, you know, and because other folks have already talked about the College and Career Fair, the community garage, I won't talk about that stuff, but it was great to attend that. I actually had the opportunity to attend the Fotos y Recuerdos event with the Family and Community Engagement team related to Dia de los Muertos. And this was special because it was actually led by parent leaders who led this workshop for other parents. And it created a space for families to come together and actually talk about and grieve and be in community and talk about the people that they lost in their lives, their family members, their parents, children, brothers, siblings, and come together as a community and learn about this rich cultural experience that so many Hispanic and Latino families across the country celebrate. But it was just beautiful that we offer these opportunities to our families in SAUSD. And, you know, a lot of what I heard from those parents was a lot of gratitude because we pour so much into making sure that our parents and families are connected with our schools in our district. And so I want to thank the FACE team for putting events like that together. And with that, and no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned. The next regular board meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Thank you.